2023. It is approximately 6:04. We have all commissioners present, as well as Charles Rudd, City Manager, Bobby Pickens, our City Attorney, Pamela Taylor, our Code Enforcement Officer, and Christina Marie, our CRA Director. So with that, Commissioner Banks, if you'll go ahead and lead us in invocation, please stand if you're able.
Father, once again, we come before you to give you thanks and to give you praise and to lift up your name. Father, we thank you for our health and our strength. And God, we pray for the commissions. We pray for our community, that we all join in and be on one accord. We ask all this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. We do have a couple of announcements. We have the powwow that is going to be starting tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow morning, I apologize. Tomorrow morning. And it's going to carry forward through Sunday. It's going to be at Eva Lyons Park. This is put on by the Women's Club. I believe both evenings it goes to 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock on Sunday. So please make sure that you come out for that. We also have Cops, Kids, and Kayaks will be June 3rd at Dexter Park. And this is the third year that the Sheriff's Department, as well as volunteers and sponsors, have done this for our youth. And so it's always an exciting day. So please, if you can, stop by. And I think, Karen, I know the Women's Club always has something going on. Concerned Citizens is doing a community yard sale, I believe, on the 20th. And so look on the website for any other events. They will be posting that as far as the location of that. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with the approval of minutes. So Commissioners, you've got the minutes in front of you for February 15th, 2023, April 11th, 2023, April 12th, 2023, April 13th, 2023, April 13th, 2023. Those are two different workshops. One was the animal, one was the CRA. And April 18th, 2023, which was the impact fee workshop.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written with any necessary correction.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Then we have a motion and a second. Commissioner DeVito, I believe you've had a few corrections that you've already given to Karen, is that correct?
Yes, I gave her some. There are some that I didn't get to. I'm not sure but what we should hold back the minutes of the workshop on animal control because there were specific agreements and recommendations that we made at the end that the city manager summarized, and they're just not in there. There were a number of action items and there was a whole summary.
Okay, would you like to make an amendment to his motion to withhold
Yes,
April 13th? Please do so.
that we withhold the animal control workshop minutes, and also for the impact fees workshop, somewhere in there. Not sure, yeah, on the impact fees workshop in the third paragraph that starts with Bobby Pickens. The fourth line down, it says a 90-degree window before the city could enforce the impact fees, and I think that's supposed to be 90 days.
Yes.
That would make more sense.
Karen, you got that? Okay. So currently we have an amendment to pull the April 13th, 2023 animal control workshop. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, an amendment and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. That leaves us with the original motion for the remaining minutes. Did we have a second? Oh, we have a second, didn't we, Commissioner? You seconded it, correct? Okay, any further discussion on this? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And with that, you have all the, names.
No, I have one more.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up public comment. And I'm going to say that these topics are not listed on the agenda. If there are topics, that they will be heard during our public hearing. Comments regarding public hearing topics will be heard during the public hearing portion. Comments regarding business items will be heard during business items. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If you wish to speak during public comment, you've already filled out a card, I hope. If not, please do fill out a card and get it to the clerk before we close it out. Your name will be called when that item comes up. Please speak into the microphone and address the commissioners, not the audience. Speakers shall address the city commission as a whole and refrain from addressing individual members of the city commission, city staff, consultants, or other speakers. Speakers shall afford the utmost courtesy to the city commission, city employees, consultants, and the public, and shall refrain at all times from rude and derogatory remarks, reflections as to integrity, abusive comments, and statements as to motives and personalities. Speakers shall have only one opportunity to speak and shall not be entitled to a second opportunity during public comment or rebuttal. It is not reasonable to expect that the commission will engage in debate or deliberate about matters brought up during public comment on issues about which the commission has received no prior information. If a speaker is declared out of order, he or she will be requested to leave the podium and will be subject to physical removal from the commission chambers. So with that, I'm going to go ahead with our first speaker. Looks like I need to start from this end. Steve Kenworthy, if you would please come forward. You would state your name. Here, you have the.
My name is Steve Kenworthy. I live in 1 Magnolia here in Crescent City. The item, and I don't know the ordinance number, I wish I did, about having chickens within the city limits. That's what we're looking to do for sustenance, just for eggs. No roosters, contained totally in your own physical yard, not to be let loose, run all over the city. So that's what we're trying to get established, whether it's totally legal to do this or not. That's the question.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my next speaker is Jim Hammond.
Jim Hammond, 123 Lakeside Lane,
That will not be allowed.
and I guess you're gonna have to escort me out of here,
Well, then, come on.
all right? But when you do, expect a lawsuit. I've already submitted information to you, to Alex Sharp. You escort me out of here. I'm not being rude, and I'm not threatening anybody. Expect a lawsuit if you escort me out of here.
George?
Can you state what business this has to do with the city?
This has to do with a recall election.
The city has no business with recall election.
Oh, the city's involved in it. But anyway, I have a whole pile of these. I've given out a bunch already.
You're out of order, and I'm gonna ask you to leave the podium. We do not.
My 3 minutes is not up.
I do, sir. I have stated, you know the rules, and I'm gonna ask
The
you.
rules that you stated are against the law.
Well, sir, you are not we do not hold any election issues here in this office during these meetings.
This is not an election, this is a recall to get rid of one of the
Sir?
commissioners.
Do I need to have you removed?
I guess if that's what you're gonna do.
Captain Essery?
What?
Wait a second, Bobby.
What?
You've read the law that we sent you.
I understand that, but my whole thing is what,
The purpose of this is to bring to the attention of the people that are home watching this, that there are signs available
Sir, this is
to
not the place.
recall Cynthia
This
Burke.
is not the place, sir. This is not the place.
Well, where is the place?
I mean, I think it's fine to let him go. I mean, I don't, if that's what he's talking about, and then he's leaving it at that, then you move on.
Okay, is that all you have to say?
No, my 3 minutes is not up. I get 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stand here for my 3 minutes and say that I have these signs. Now, you see I'm sweating a little bit because I've already handed out 87 of these today,
Okay, thank you.
all right? And these are recall signs to recall Cynthia Burton for malfeasance. Come and vote her out of office on May the 30th, slam it down again, May the 30th, 2023. You see that your made-up rules don't work against people that know the law. You just can't make up rules as you go along. And that's what you're trying to do. And at my 38 seconds, I'll go sit down.
So 38 seconds up?
No. You can't make up rules against people that know the law. I have got a laundry list.
This is the commission's rules, the commission,
No,
I did not
you
make
just-
these rules up. This is
You are
what
not the
commission
queen
voted
of
on.
this town. This town is ruled by the people, not by you. Okay, my time's up, I'll sit down. Thank you for letting me talk.
Sure thing. Okay, Diane Kelly, would you please come forward?
Hi, I'm Diane Kelly, 123 Lakeside Lane, Crescent City. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak very briefly. For those who don't know me, and by the way, my last name is spelled Kelley. If you look at social media, and if you don't know me very well, I'm an individual who at least one member, I'm not mentioning names out of respect for the rules, but at least one member has condoned to describe me as one who has an extensive rap sheet and is a multi-time convicted drug felon. Okay? That is a fact. I don't appreciate it. I was an officer for many years at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida, now at Florida Blue. If anybody wants to look me up, feel free. I had excellent standing, I have an excellent track record, and I don't appreciate blemishes being enabled by any member of a leadership party, and certainly not commissioners in a city that I support actively. And what I'm asking for is that the commissioners establish a code of ethics on how you will police your own behaviors and how you monitor your own behaviors and how you will address misbehaviors. I will address the libel that has occurred. And I think every one of you who supports the known individual who is condoning this, every one of you who supports it needs to ask yourself, is that the right thing to do to not only Diane Kelly, Kelley, convicted drug felon, former officer at Florida Blue, but is this the right way to treat people in the community? It is not. It is not leadership. It is not becoming of a commissioner. I'm asking for your help to get code of ethics on how you treat others and how you police yourselves. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity that's coming up on May the 30th. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if you would please state your last name.
I have a show and tell. Oh, ooh, nope, it's not working. I need to keep
What, Elizabeth, do you need to do it with the tape?
it. No, maybe I can put
Okay,
it
yeah,
like
because
this. That way everybody can see it.
Okay. And what does your sign say, Elizabeth?
My time?
Your sign.
It's a quote. It's a quote for everybody. The obstacle is the way.
Okay, please go to the podium. Please speak to the mic. And we're gonna have to take this, I apologize, we're gonna have to take those signs down, but.
No, it's not staying after I'm gone. It's coming with me. Elizabeth Gomez, 19 Cedar Street. I love this town just like all of you do. And walking this town this week, a neighbor in Main Street, I was talking to her and she told me she put a comment on Facebook about how we needed more jobs around here, and somebody dared to tell her, if you don't like it, move to the land. This is a brand new citizen of this town, and we are behaving like children. So I started going on YouTube and looking for information for my soul to teach me about how we are behaving. We are big kids with these bodies, but shallow minds. I am going to talk tonight about Marcus Aurelius. Who was he? He was called the philosopher king. He was a Roman emperor from 161 AD to 180 AD and a Stoic philosopher. What is a Stoicism? This is a philosophy designed to make us more resilient, happier, more virtuous, more wise, and as a result, better people, better parents, better professionals, and better citizens. Here's one of 100 of quotes from his journal and personal diary meditations. And this is for the commissioners and for whoever is going to go to be elected. When you first rise in the morning, tell yourself, I will encounter busybodies, ingrates, egomaniacs, liars, jealous, and cracks. They are all stricken with these afflictions because they don't know the difference between good and evil. Because I have understood the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, I know that these wrongdoers are still akin to me, and that none of them can harm me or implicate me with ugliness, nor can I be angry at my relatives or hate them, for we are made for cooperation. As you can see, Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, didn't like people. He opens meditations with a meditation on how frustrating and obnoxious other people are. The idea of the obstacle is the way is a direct quote of his talking about how people get in our way, how people present obstacles. But Marcus said that in the obstacles, there is an opportunity to actually practice the obstacle is the way. To be good in spite of other people, to be just, and to please work with one another to make this town a better town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Looks like you've been down at the powwow. I know you're very involved in that. Mr. Miller, you have both public comment and item number 10. Do you want to speak during public comment?
Yeah, but also just add a general comment.
Okay,
Because
that's
I'm
fine.
familiar with the form.
That's fine.
Good evening, my name is Danny Miller. I reside at 1400 Sunset Drive in Winter Park. Although I am a Crescent City native, it should come as no surprise to y'all. I'm here to talk about preservation of the historic structures at the school. On the 13th, the commission unanimously passed your resolution, which said, among other things, to take all necessary measures, including working with the city of Crescent City to preserve the historic structures at the school. Thank you very much. I've also wrote all of y'all a letter thanking you. And in that letter, I mentioned that the resolution is a good start, but it's only a symbolic gesture on of the community's sentiment on the issue, and that they have real effect we have to actively engage with the school district to emphasize the resolve of the commission and our commitment to preservation. Well, naturally, that raises the question of what message from the city was conveyed to the district after passage of the resolution. After wondering for a while, I submitted a public records request to ask for public records generated by the mayor and city manager. Apparently I wasn't the only one wondering, because in response, I received a copy of an email that was sent to all the commissioners on May 2nd. That was after Commissioner DeVito's specific request, and 3 weeks after the resolution was passed. In it, we have Mr. Bowling's the city manager's email to Mr. Bowling. I don't see here where it went to the superintendent, where it went to the school board, or even that the resolution itself was transmitted to the school district. And further, this email is dated April 25th. That's almost 2 weeks after the resolution was passed. My concern is that this doesn't adequately convey the sense of urgency and fails to express the unanimous resolve of the commission, nor the consensus of the community. And also, it shows a lack of transparency with the commission. So many in the community are left wondering why. I'm running out of time. So all I'll say is, I'll close by saying, I hope the commissioners will ask why and ask for a full report of what has happened and what will happen, both from the city manager and from the mayor. I'm out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, that's all of our comment cards. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment.
I'd like to speak.
I'm sorry, sir, did you fill out a comment card?
I can do it right now.
Okay, you can just come forward, state your name and your address.
All right, I'll fill it out after
Rules.
speaking. All right, Cav 936 Lake Argenta Drive. I'm here because I have a few comments. First thing I'd like to say is, if you go back to the February 2023 minutes, there was a long discussion around legal fees being requested by a certain commissioner. That is still, after several revisions, completely absent from the city minutes. We're talking about specifically the check around Commissioner Judy West that did not have commission approval. I believe that information should be added in there for transparency and accuracy. Second, there's a lot of stuff being put out on social media, personally about me. You heard Ms. Diane Kelly speak. I don't have a problem if people want to call me the drug lord ring leader here in Crescent City, but my job here is to come before the commission and let you all know that this is taking place on a campaign page from one of your commissioners. And by allowing this type of behavior, you really do open yourself up to a lot of legal liability, in addition to that person or the person's making those remarks. And so my job here is just to let you know this information is occurring. You can go and look at that information out there and decide what y'all want to do as a commission. But if you decide not to do anything and this information continues forward, you're opening up huge liability for the city, because you have a commissioner who is running a campaign page on Facebook who has blocked at least 30 voters in Crescent City. And so, you just can't do that. That's against the law.
Okay,
So,
thank you. And Karen, did you get his name? Did you say your name was Kevin too?
Yeah, Kev Teo.
You got that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to close public comment at this time. Comment is closed. Captain Essery, you're up.
Sorry, you caught me off guard.
Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I know you mentioned already, Major, about Cops Kids Kayaks on June 3rd. So you took that away from me a little bit. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Always a fun event. If you haven't been there before, it's down at the lake, and it's a very, very nice event. Come enjoy the food and a good time. So I'll start off with our briefing. We had actually 3 incidents here. One was the first one off the Bay Lane, was a reported female and an acquaintance of a gentleman stole some money from his apartment. We checked, we filed charges in that case. The second was the hot dog cart. Immediately when that happened, everybody knows the hot dog cart in Credit City is pretty famous. So fortunately, I was able to locate that very quickly. And I have active investigation there. It's not anymore. I won't go any further on that just because we're still, I say it's not an active investigation, but we're looking toward that being probably gonna be a more civil case than it is criminal. We broached the state attorney's office with it and also with our, legal counsel, and they all agreed. There was some people come in and were renting the place next door over here, and the item was sold by one of the people renting there, and some of the claims that they had to it was just a little bit cloudy. So I say it's an active investigation. We've got it closed for now, but if further information comes up, we can do anything criminal, we will. The next one there was a vehicle theft. As you see, this was a juvenile, so I didn't name the person in this, but a son of one of our local residents decided to go take mom's car, located the car in another jurisdiction, and he was taken into custody. Any questions on those? So all those were solved, luckily. The next one, we had a traffic crash this month. I know we had 0 last month, but we had 1 this month. So our efforts in trying to deter traffic crashes seems to be working a little bit. So hopefully that'll stay on track. We had 1 truck crash, you can see here at 1115 on Summer Street. There at Winn-Dixie, so they turned out in the path of somebody else and got struck. Any questions?
And this was for last month, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, there was another one.
I know.
Everybody sees the marks in the road over there. Yes, that'll be for next month, but they're okay. This is the general activity. It just gives you your general calls for service. 173 calls for service, 64 of those were traffic stops, 1 traffic crash, and then suspicious person vehicles, that's just deputies checking out with people during the night, was 13, and a total of 12 reports were written in Crescent City during that month. Any questions on those? The next page you'll see there's kind of a 6-month comparison to see where we're going. As you can see, you may have a 200% rise in crime 1 month, and then 100% less just because we're talking about 2 or 3 crimes. So we did have a little bit of a decrease from 4 crimes total reported last month to 3 this month. And we are, so for the year, we're actually looking for a decrease again. So I don't know how that's gonna happen, but other than that.
Do we have any questions?
I have one question.
Okay, Commissioner DeVito?
Captain Esri, I contacted you about a few things this month. One of them, there's apparently a gentleman who's camping in a lot on Bay Lane that backs up to Rocket Lane, and I asked you if there was anything that could be done to assist him. Apparently, there's nuisance activity, broken bottles and things that are a problem for the neighbors. Any progress there?
So that is Mr. Mauricio Cruz. We are trying to get a hold of him just to tell him, hey, stay off the property, you have been trespassed. I have been in contact with the gentleman who takes care of the property. He actually reached out to us, I want to say it was the day before yesterday, and I was able to get the contact information for the property owner. Again, that's Mr. Mauricio Cruz. He's a local here. He's been known to always run from law enforcement when there's nothing we can chase him for because he's doing nothing wrong. He just takes off running from us. But anyway, he is in fact homeless. We've offered him every kind of help that you could imagine. He doesn't want it. He likes to do what he's doing there. But as soon as I just want to do it right. I want to tell him to his face, hey, you know, I'm welcome on the property. You've been trespassing and officially haven't done it that way. Well, we do have to go back there and we have to take him to jail. I have, a warmth in my heart saying I tried to do the right thing.
Okay, because the neighbor has contacted me a number of times.
Okay.
And I feel bad for the person without a home and who needs help, but at some point you have to take account of the neighbors.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you very much.
No problem.
Just wanted that.
And I was just waiting to email you back just until we got a hold of him and I was able to get everything officially done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of the council?
Captain, let me ask you this. I think the more safest way, and this commission getting involved, if to have the citizens to call the sheriff office so we can put it on record. Ain't that the most appropriate way that we should do things? Cause I see things and and the individuals see me see those things. So after a while, they gonna go to call, bugging me. But if I have them call the sheriff office, I can bug y'all. Y'all know what I mean? I'm talking about for safety wise also. See, it ain't good for commission to be, I don't wanna say riding around town looking for stuff and calling it in to you all. I think it's better for the citizens to call it into you all.
You're right, and sometimes citizens don't. I think I explained this one time before. Actually, I attended the town hall meeting in Lawn Park this week. But a lot of people, especially some of them are elderly.
Mhm.
They're used to the days of when you pick up that phone and you call the sheriff's office or you call for an ambulance or whatever, it's life or death. And when they see things, sometimes they say, well, they've got better things they can be doing. I don't want to bother them with it. And sometimes that's not the case. And I think what Mr. Vito was doing here was just generally just trying to pass some information on and getting some information back to a concerned citizen. And I don't mind that at all. But yes, I encourage everybody that, you know, if you see something and we don't know about it, we really can't do anything about it. It kind of gives us a bad rap sometimes when you drive by something and you say nothing's been done. Well, if we're not getting a call and nobody's having an issue with it, sometimes it's not an issue with us. So, and by all means, when you see something going on, call or reach out to whoever. And again, I appreciate Mr. Vito being engaged and getting me that information. So it kind of gave me some gasoline to get started up on this thing and get him somewhere else or wherever he needs to be. Because the gentleman that's cleaning up the property is probably getting tired of cleaning up after that. And you know what comes with where homeless people stay at.
But my point was not, from what the commissioner has said, but personally, I think that is the citizen's job to contact you all direct. And that keeps us out of the picture and out of the field of danger. Because people are doing strange things now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I'd rather for them to be doing strange things, I hope not, at the sheriff's office instead of my house.
Yes.
That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, thank you.
And I think that we need to remind people too, there's 911 and then there's just the regular line you can call 24/7 to report things as well.
Yes.
So a lot of people are hesitant because they think they have to dial that 911 and if it's not an emergency, you know, it's, so they just need to make sure that they call the sheriff's office because there's always somebody at dispatch to take that phone off.
Mayor, can I clarify something? And Captain Essery has alluded to it. He said, I brought it to his attention. I don't encourage people to call me. I always tell people to call and report things. The individual that contacted me because this issue fell through the cracks. It was reported to dispatch. It was reported to the fire department for issues that dealt with fires. And they felt they were getting no response. And so to me, when a citizen calls and says that they're falling through the cracks and not getting any official response after several weeks, then I think that's the job of the commission to see if they can bring it to the top of the pile. And Captain Essery has taken care of it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions of Captain Essery? Thank you, Captain. As always, we appreciate everything you're doing here in the town.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Okay, Charles and Bobby, let's go to the public hearing, the first reading of ordinance 2023-06, creating chapter 22 minimum maintenance standards.
An ordinance of the City of Crescent City, Florida, creating chapter 22 minimum maintenance standards, establishing procedures and guidelines for maintenance standards, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for implementing administrative action, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification and directions to the code codifier, and providing an effective date.
Mayor, this item was brought before you last month for
first reading, when there was a discussion and we received direction to add the words, that this chapter, we're creating chapter 21, shall only apply to commercial and non-homesteaded property. We made that change and brought it back to you for approval on first reading.
Commissioners, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that you, pass ordinance 2023-06 on the first reading.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioners, do we have any discussion?
Yeah, so then we have to come up with, what was it, a definition for abandonment and some other things on this as well?
Well, we talked about that, but since to avoid that, whether it was how to define abandoned, if it's a snowbird home or actually unused, at the end, you switched it to just non-homesteaded property. That's how we kind of address that.
That'll take care of the balance as well.
I don't remember us agreeing on that. I thought we were gonna come up with how an abandonment was defined.
That was part of the discussion. The final direction was to make commercial and non-homesteaded.
And that way those that have the homesteaded property would not, this would not affect them, which was one of the big concerns.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
So I asked this during the workshops and I didn't get an answer. And we discussed it at the last meeting, but not this aspect. The simple question is it legal to apply a code to only certain classes of property, commercial and non-homestead? Does that pass legal muster? I never heard a yes or a no.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's different rules apply to different types of property. I mean, there's different zoning standards for commercial property versus residential property. I don't think that it'll be a problem.
Okay. That's your only question, Commissioner Rita?
That's my only question. It's not the only thing I really have to say about it.
Okay, do you want to finish up your comments?
Sure. You know, it's part of our strategic plan to eliminate blighted properties. That's very important. And I had a discussion with the city manager about that months and months ago. And we put in our strategic plan that our method to eliminate blighted properties was the minimum maintenance standards. But that was before we knew anything about it. And it is true that other municipalities are adopting these international minimum maintenance standards. I'm not sure that there are municipalities that have the problems that Crescent City does. I have sat here as a resident and as a commissioner through many meetings when we have discussed that we have a problem with properties that are falling into disrepair. And one problem we've had is the city does not even have the money to foreclose on properties that have liens or to have them declared derelict. We don't have the money to demo them. So it is a problem. The public has raised a lot of questions about this ordinance. The chief things I've heard is that it's overkill, that it's too detailed and unaffordable. I don't agree with the people who say I shouldn't be cited for torn screens and we shouldn't have code enforcement, because lack of code enforcement is partly what's brought us here today. So we need to do something. I'm not sure that we need to go from 0 to international maintenance standards all in one fell swoop. And as well, we haven't really identified, other than our CRA grants, which would apply to the CRA, but not outside the CRA, how we are going to assist people. And I certainly am concerned about a small business with a property, as well as we need to figure out how to assist residential properties. So I'm just not sure that we've looked at this in the right way, that we didn't start with the big picture. And we just decided that a single ordinance was the answer. And I just am not convinced that a single ordinance, is the answer. I mean, it's a start.
Okay, well, I'd like to call the question, we do have a motion, we have a second. And let's vote.
Well, we have to take public comment, so let's take public comment. I have to take public comment, but Commissioner DeVito, are you complete before I take public comment?
I think about, well, my suggestion is, because it's fair to say, what would you do instead? I think it's worthwhile to look at what are the worst problems causing building deterioration. For one thing, we never identified, for us or for the public, what our codes currently apply to and what they don't apply to. So I think it's worthwhile to identify that, make that known to the public.
I'm gonna go ahead and open it up to public comment.
Why
So
are
we
you
can
trying to
hear it.
It's
Okay,
okay.
I need you to,
Okay, so what are the worst problems that cause building deterioration, which are not addressed by our codes? And start by amending our existing codes to address the most urgent issues. And as well, I think we need to look and see, do we have sufficient code enforcement staff?
okay.
And also,
I want to call the
grandfather.
question again, please.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and at this time, I'm gonna open it up for additional factual testimony for or against. Now I'm gonna open it up for public input. If you have public input on this, please come forward, state your name and your address. You have 3 minutes. Okay, seeing no one come forward, I'm gonna close public input. And with that, commissioners, do we have any further, discussion?
Mayor, I think we
I got Mr. Miller.
Okay, I apologize. I'll open public comment back up.
Yeah, George Miller, 100 Lakeshore Drive, Crescent City, Florida. The last meeting, I think, Ms. McCoy had, put out an idea, not a novel idea. It's happened in previous administrations. Commissioner Banks probably remembers this, been around for a long time. But there was an active, effort by the city manager and his staff to get into the Federal Register to find grant money to help property owners, particularly people that were homesteaded. And a lot of people received new roofs, money to do that. And I would hope the commission would have the courage to task the city manager and his staff to pursue that. And possibly, I'm sure there's some, I would help. I'm used to reading the Federal Register. And instead of, you mentioned the last month, the carrot and stick approach. I've read this international, and it's all stick. What's wrong with reviewing what's presently and tasking the city manager and his staff to look at money that's available? There's a lot of money available to help people, whether it be a new roof or foundation. Let's be proactive about this. So I hope the commission has the courage to make 2 proposals, to review the existing code, and the code enforcement officer, after several requests, she did send me the 60-page international, and it's not for Crescent City. It's just too heavy-handed. It's too draconian. It really is. And I, as a taxpayer, I don't support it. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments before I close it out? Please state your name and your address if you would.
Rachel McKenzie, 25 South Lake Street. I just have a question. If you buy a blighted property in this town, which we have purchased too, how much time do you have to get it fixed up before the fines would apply? Because that's not addressed in there, and really kind of wide open if you purchase a property that needs a lot of work.
Charles, do you or Bob, you want
Well, the objective is compliance, so you notify somebody, hey, we have a condition here that needs to be addressed, and then we're addressing it, it's a process, and we're satisfied that you're addressing it, not just leaving it sit, and that's the goal, is compliance, not fine.
But shouldn't that be addressed in the standards that you have so long?
I think that would really be hard to define, because some projects, the number of projects is endless potentially, and then how long each one takes to, whether it's paint the siding or fix the broken stairs, or depend on the project. Some of the houses I showed are gonna be a long project, that's understood, as long as they're underway. It's sort of like with the RV thing, as long as you got an active permit, and you're obviously engaged in construction of a home, you can stay there with an RV. So it's,
As you say, it's your,
yeah, the objective is not to cite and fine, it's to say, hey, this issue needs to be addressed, and like, oh, we're on it, and either we pull a permit, or we're beginning the process, we're figuring out what we want to do. That's the goal.
thank you. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment at this time. Commissioners, before you have the first reading of ordinance 2023-06. We have a motion and a second. Karen, I'm gonna have you call roll, please.
Commissioner Trujillo,
No.
Commissioner Bailey,
Nay.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
No,
You said what you said?
no,
You said no?
Mayor Myers,
I'm gonna say aye. So it fails? It fails. Okay, let's move on to the second reading of ordinance 2023-07. Amending ordinance 2022-23, business tax receipt.
An ordinance of the city of Crescent City, Florida, amending ordinance 22-23, providing for implementing administrative action, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification and directions to the code codifier, and providing for efficacy.
Mayor, this is the second and final reading of the ordinance to sort of go back and fix our business tax receipt fees. Staff recommends approval.
And you made the change was made in here to cap that at $50, correct?
Yes.
I know it wasn't in this, but there is another copy that Karen has
Everybody
provided.
received a copy right before the meeting.
Okay, with that. Okay, Commissioner, I'll entertain a motion, please.
I make a motion, that we accept orders 2023-07, amending the orders of 22-23, business tax receipt.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioners, do we have any discussion?
I have a question, and I hate to bring this up, but Bobby, this is a question for you. It's in the parts called section 2, and the second line says, we amend section 2 of 2022-23, the ordinance passed last year in the city of Crescent City, says by removing and adding the following. Removing what?
That's just the general language when you're amending an ordinance. If it was, something was removed, it would have been struck through. Underlining is adding.
Okay, I get it.
So the only thing that was changed, if it's underlined, it was added to. If it was struck through, we're taking it from. We have to put the whole thing back in there because it could be, once it gets codified, construed, that the only thing we wanted to be in there was what we changed. So that's why the whole thing's written back out again.
Okay, I get that part, I just wanna make sure nothing's missing.
No.
Okay,
And then just another the wrong one was included in the packet, but I changed it and made the version that you're gonna pass tonight, the night of the meeting. I was doing it while we were in the meeting, so it's been around for a month. It's not something that just got changed this week.
no, we talked about it. Yeah, it just, right, so that's all I have. Thank you.
That's all you have. Commissioners, any other comments?
Yeah, I got a question. Is this an additional tax to a business license? Or this is just a change in the license, what it would be?
So what happened was I guess during maybe the recession before my time, they lowered it down from $50 to $35. So we were just returning it to $50, and the Florida League of Cities alerted us that we only can change it, I think, at 5% a year. So that's what we're just coming back into compliance.
So each citizen that comes in town now will have to have a business license.
They always.
They had to before,
They had
we
to
only
before.
changed, the only thing that we were doing was changing how much it was. They've always had to have one.
We've always had to have it, and it's just been $35.
So we're just gonna, the issue with this increase them from 35 to 50.
No.
35 to 5% per year, but we will cap at 50. Yes, sir.
I'm with you now, thank you.
Okay. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna open it up for additional factual testimony for or against. Seeing none, I'm gonna open it up for public input. Do we have any public input on this? Okay, I'm gonna close public input. Commissioners, we have a proper motion and a second. Karen, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Barton?
Aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey?
Aye.
Commissioner Benito?
Nay.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay. So it passes and adopted. So at this time, I'm gonna close out the, our regular scheduled meeting. I'm gonna recess it and I'm gonna open up our CRA. Charles, the floor is yours.
Can you get out that way?
Yeah, we're gonna work together, right? Okay. Do you want to switch over? Okay. He's got a. Move this right here. Yeah.
I'll share with you. I see you, I'm not sharing yours. Man, that's okay, I'll remember that. I used to, and I haven't.
Right. Do the insurance. Okay, cool.
GAI.
Yeah.
Do you have your packet from last time?
I do, and I do.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't stand out.
Okay. Do you want this? Okay, good. Yes. All right.
Before we get started, I know you sent your email, just to make sure that everybody understands what you found out after that.
Oh, yeah, I'll summarize. So, just to summarize, this is, tonight we have three, the top three ranked firms going to present. The third firm withdrew their proposal. So we'll have two firms tonight that will present to you. And then just to reiterate what I sent out, unfortunately, I misread the website. The deadline was last year's deadline. And so they have not yet actually opened the grant for application. So the grant is now open. We will apply for a grant to assist in this. But as I indicated last month, I believe spreading this over 2 fiscal years, we can still cover this free CRA funds. So tonight we've got, starting out with GAI, we've got their packet last month, and they've handed out some things for you. So I'll turn it over to Blake.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Blake Drury.
I'm with GAI Consultants, part of our Community Solutions Group. And we are based in Orlando. We work throughout the state in big cities like Jacksonville or Orlando or Tampa, or small towns like High Springs or St. Cloud, and hopefully in Crescent City. We are part of GAI Consultants. It's an engineering firm. Our Community Solutions Group is the part of the firm that deals with planning, landscape architecture, and economics. I lead our planning and design group. We have about a dozen folks in those disciplines. We've got 10 or 15 landscape architects and 5 or 6 economists as part of our team. John Jones is going to be the lead for this endeavor. I'll be sort of the principal in charge. John is kind of the day-to-day contact. John is going to go through some key points about the approach that we laid out. I think I don't know that we need to go through the qualifications. I think the city manager summarized that a bit, but you'll see in our work examples of places that we've worked before, some of the positive changes that have come out of that work. And I think hopefully you will come away from this with an understanding of the approach that we take, the way that we look at communities individually for their for the qualities that they do have in order to bring those to the forefront, and then our way of kind of visioning and creating positive change through infrastructure, through policy, and through programs. So with that, I will leave it to John.
All right, thanks, Blake. Good evening, Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. My name is John Jones with GAI. My specialization is in community redevelopment and economic development. Tonight's agenda, we're going to introduce our GAI CSG team. We're going to talk about the overall planning process, our approach to community engagement. Then we're going to talk about the proposed project schedule and give some examples of visualization. That's the fun part of the presentation. So qualifications of the team, we've got about 130 people in our office. We have 72 CRA clients, 5 AICP certified planners, or pardon me, 5 FRA certified planners, 6 AICPs. I cannot read these glasses, I apologize. We've completed 19 downtown master plans and 10 corridor plans. We have extensive community redevelopment experience. In the past 5 years, we've updated 16 plans. We've expanded 7 CRAs and extended the operational time frame of 7 CRAs. We have over 72 different clients that you see there on the left of different communities that we have served their community redevelopment agencies. The overall planning process is going to be a 4-step process. The first step is listening and learning. That's a data gathering process. The second step is developing the master plan and the vision for the downtown and the Highway 17 corridor. Next is updating the community redevelopment plan to memorialize that vision plan and provide an implementation path. And then the last step is the adoption of the CRA plan. So step 1, we're going to go into detail of each one of these steps, kind of give you a little overview and some detail about these. So step 1, the listening and data gathering, we look at the background data of the community. So we're going to review the CRA plan from 2018. We're going to develop an accomplishments matrix, look at what the CRA has done that has been identified in the plan, what they've completed, what they haven't completed. We're also going to look at previous planning studies, and then do a trend analysis and a market analysis to identify economic opportunities in the area. The next step in the process is developing that master plan vision. So developing that master plan vision is going to be based on community input. It's the vision for the community, it has to be developed by the community. So it will involve a large amount of community engagement and stakeholder interviews. The next step is actually doing the visioning of the plan, creating those vision narratives, taking the words and making them into pictures, the visual renderings, and then identifying some opportunity sites and showing what those opportunity sites could look like if they're redeveloped. And then finally, putting that vision plan, getting it adopted, making it memorialized. It would be reviewed by the local planning agency for consistency with your comprehensive plan. It would also be presented to the CRA board, so the CRA board would get their input on it as well, and then presented to the city commission for a formal adoption. That's step 2. Step 3 is a community redevelopment plan update, the CRA plan update. So we'll prepare the CRA plan update components in compliance with 363, the chapter of Florida statutes. Your operational timeframe of the CRA can be up to 60 years. So it can be extended up to 2055 if you so desire. The next step is incorporating the vision plan ideas and concepts into your CRA plan. The CRA plan will be the funding mechanism and the implementation mechanism for the vision and the aspirations that were identified in the vision, the capital improvements that were identified. And next is taking that CRA plan and presenting it to the city for review and comment, and then presenting it to the CRA board for review and comment. The key is taking the vision, taking the capital projects and the programs that have been identified, placing those in the CRA plan so that you can use tax increment funding to pay for those improvements. If it's not in the CRA plan, you cannot use TIF money to pay for it. So that's why we got to get it into the plan. This is your implementation mechanism. Step 4 is the CRA plan adoption hearings. It's a 3-step process. Goes through the local planning agency for consistency with your comprehensive plan, make sure it's consistent there. It goes to the CRA for adoption by resolution, and then it comes before the city commission for adoption by ordinance. That requires 2 public hearings. So that's the last step in the process. The community engagement process, it's community vision, so it has to be driven by the community. You want to have a lot of community engagement. We believe in a multi-layered process that's transparent, involves a lot of people, a lot of opportunities for people to engage, utilizes technology when appropriate, and uses storytelling tools. We want to tell a compelling story and hear the story of the community, because that's what defines here. The engagement and outreach tools include online communication, in-person communication, and workshops. You can see the different examples there. We want to give people as many chances to participate in the visioning process. We want to hear from it. And we want to let the people that participate in the process hear other people's comments and input as well. Because you want that local creativity to come through. Compelling public meeting experiences. When people come to a public meeting, we want to engage them. We want to get them excited about the visioning process and the future for Crescent City. Get those aspirations out, talk about them. What do you want to do? What do you want to see in the future? The experience-based workshops, here's some of the examples of the activities that we would have at the workshop. Passport station telling you what's going to happen in each different area of the room. The survey station where you can complete a survey. A 10-minute walk map. Where do you go in 10 minutes in the city? Let people identify where they go. Build a Place virtual reality helps people identify on 2D what they would like to see in the community, and then putting that together into a 3D virtual presentation. And then Instagram boards. We ask people to tell us what they like about the community, what they love about the community. In addition to public workshops and technology, we like to go out and meet people where they are. Sometimes people can't make it to a public workshop. Sometimes people don't want to go to a public workshop. And so we also encourage the use of showing up at farmers markets, art shows, festivals, and having a booth there to take public input and providing a non-traditional mechanism to get people to open up and give us their ideas. All right, the proposed schedule for the vision plan update, it's about 8 months. So we have it starting step 1 in August and September. Phase 2 would be October through December, and then phase 3 would be January through March. So right now we're looking at about 8 months. The adoption phase is the one that takes 3 months because we have several different groups, agencies, boards have to go through the process, get on their agenda, go through that schedule. Examples of community vision and implementation. This is the fun stuff. So we get to see some of the communities that we've worked in the past, and you get to see what the vision was and then how it turned into a reality. So the city of Wildwood. So here we have some examples of what Wildwood would like to see developed in their area. We created this image to give developers a concept, something they can prop their ideas against and say, this is what the city wants, build it, market it. This is what our code wants to have in it. This is what the city desires. And then a nighttime render. Because when you tell a developer we want a certain thing, you gotta show it to them. You know, the old phrase, a picture's worth 1,000 words, this is an example of that. So you get to see different aspects of the development at different times of the day. And different perspectives. All right, City of Maitland. The City of Maitland, this one starts out with a vision. It was first incorporated into a rendering. And so from that rendering, based on the input from the community, what they wanted to see, the type of development that they wanted to see, this is what was actually built. So this is Independence Lane. This is a city street that can be closed off for public events and festivals, much like the streets that you have right out front. And here it is closed off for a concert. All right, that's some of the architectural detail showing the finish of the building and also the activity that is incorporated into the development at street level. One of the key aspects that Maitland wanted to see is they wanted street level activity. They wanted some vitality and energy on the streets. So this vision provided a mechanism to incorporate that into the built environment. The city of Ocoee. Here's a aerial showing the proposed vision plan of what the city wants to look like in the future. And then this shows the incremental steps getting towards that vision, starting with public investment in streetscape. We found that private sector investment follows public sector investment. So when the CRA invests in streetscapes, invests in building facades, you see additional private sector investment following that. And that's a stormwater pond. It's not the most hip thing, but it's turned into a feature. So it is turned into a water feature with a boardwalk around it, and there it is under construction. So that's the vision, that's the reality under construction right now. The city of St. Cloud, here we see the old downtown city before the visioning process. It's looking a little worn around the edges. This is what the community wanted it to look like. So this is the image that was generated from the public input process. And then here's the built finished product, the resulting realization of that vision, pardon me. And Tavares, this one's a video. So let me bring this up for you. This demonstrates the capacity of GAI to not only do still pictures, but we can also do the 3D drawings. And then we can also animate those drawings so that you can use it as a marketing material when you're soliciting developers for the city.
So while John's bringing that up, I think a couple of important things that maybe might get lost in this. In St. Cloud, where we show New York Avenue, one of the important things of that was their main street. Historically, it was sort of the center of town, but it was a little ragged and they needed some reinvestment. Part of the plan with Envision St. Cloud was, okay, we can do better. We can come up with a little different design for the street that's maybe a little more modern that solves some of the stormwater problems that we have. But because it's a historic place, they were able to get some historic grant money, for instance, to help with that streetscape funding. So as John talks about sort of linking the vision with the CRA plan so that you can have a direct path of an idea to a funding source to a way to do that, especially with CRAs that maybe have a little more modest means. Those are really important to tie together and to be able to point back to a vision to say, okay, this is what we heard people say that they want. Here's what it can look like, and here's the way to do it. In Maitland, you see Independence Square Park. When we started the downtown plan that led to that, and then we designed all of those pieces. It was very much up in the air whether or not that should be a park. There was a faction that thought it should be development, that it would be good for the bottom line for the city for that to be development. There was another group that thought, okay, maybe it could be a park, but maybe a smaller one. And then there was a third group that thought, this really needs to be sort of the living room for the city. And so part of that vision was trying to figure out, okay, which one of these is the best way to go, and then make sure everyone understands why you decided that was the way to go. So all of that's important to say. We can visualize virtually anything, and I think the video that you're going to see shows that. The important thing is that there's a direct line between what the community, the opinions and views that the community voices together through the professional thoughts of how you make those things happen and what they can look like to a way to get it built. Sorry to say.
Oh, no, that's all right. That's good connective tissue to have. And let's see if we can make this bigger. And we. That's loud. Sorry about that.
So the voiceover for this as you're watching it, and maybe you can do some of this. Yeah. This is a city-owned lot. In this case, you're actually working for a developer to, as part of the proposal for what could happen there. And so some of the things you'll see show some different looks at the property. Some of them smaller than others. Some of them. With the notion that in some areas it was very important to connect the architectural style of any proposed building on the site to what the city commission wanted thought the architectural style of the city ought to be. So that was important, and being able to have a high quality vision to show that, because lots of times people take for granted that anybody can read a plan. It's really difficult to read a plan. It's much easier to experience things as you might, in real life on the ground. And technology has advanced to a point where this sort of visualization is increasingly faster and easier to do. And we went through several changes on just materials and landscape and things through this process. So that we have that capability. We bring it to every job that we work on, and it's, I think, really effective in being able to communicate potential possibilities as we get into these public meetings.
All right, that's enough fun with the video.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And jump right back into the presentation here. Come on, Seabiscuit. There we go. All right, so now we get to the big question. Why select GAI, CSG Group? And there's 6 compelling reasons. We have extensive visioning and master planning experience. We have extensive community redevelopment experience. We have robust, effective, and creative public engagement processes. We're very experienced with urban design. We've got a deeply experienced and professional urban design team. And as you see, we have cutting-edge graphics, both the traditional renderings, plans, and also animations, 3D and Lumion displays. And our technical proposal was the highest ranked proposal that you would receive. So those are the 6 compelling reasons why we feel that we would be the best choice for y'all. And I'd like to open it up for any questions. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Yes, sir?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
So, have you been to Crescent City before you made your proposal? I mean, did you come and?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so how does a process like this fit into a CRA that is predominantly comprised of a historic district?
The historic district is one of your greatest assets that you have going for you in your CRA. The fact that you have a historic district and you have a lot of historic resources, you have the opportunity to pursue historic preservation grants and restoration grants as well.
And where do you get these historic preservation grants?
Department of State, Florida Department of State.
I'm sorry, you can only get one per year and it's a maximum of $500,000 and there's like a 24-month time delay. I mean, unless you're talking about federal tax credits, historic preservation grants, that's just really not realistic. I mean, you could do one building like every 2 years if you're lucky, and I'm very familiar with that process.
Very good.
So, I see a lot of new there. One of our chief problems is, refurbishment. We don't have a lot of vacant property unless you tear something down. Well, we have a big lot in the middle of town, that's true. So my next question is, have you ever done a redevelopment plan for a town this small?
Yes.
And what was that?
We've done redevelopment plans for areas that are subsections of towns. The Spring Hill neighborhood in DeLand is one of the smallest CRAs we've worked on. The Groveland CRA is also a relatively small town as well.
Okay, and one of my concerns is for this process, you're talking about, if the CRA spends money, that will attract private investment. Well, two things. This town over the years has streetscaped ourselves into oblivion, and it's never brought a dime of public investment. I mean, of private investment, more investment. The other problem is, and this is a very practical problem, once we pay for this planning service, that will pretty much wipe us out. And we will not have money. We would have to attract private development. We would have to find grants. Last year, we didn't even have the money to hire a grant writer. So what do we do about that?
The redevelopment plan will have a list of potential alternative revenue sources and funding sources identified. And then,
Realistic ones?
I would hope so, yes. They would provide guidance to the city to pursue.
Okay, and then just, it seems like for our tiny rural town, a ballpark $100,000 price tag, I think you're $98,210, seems like a lot of money. Does your price vary by size of the community or?
It varies by size of community and complexity of the project. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so how would you rate the complexity of our project?
With regards to the pricing scale, this would be on the lower end of the pricing scale.
Okay, but so you consider our project not that complex?
No, I consider this a project that is on the lower end of the pricing scale. The complexity of the project will be revealed as we go through it.
Okay, all right, I get that. Okay, well, it was a lovely presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your candor.
Thank you, commissioners. Any other questions?
No, not like me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, they get everything.
You guys can wait over. Sir.
Okay. What's that?
Is that one of your votes?
Yes.
For some reason, I only handed them out. Thank you. We're ready when you are.
Mayor, the next firm is Ayers and Associates. They're one of our continuing services firms. We haven't used them at this point, but we do have a contract from the RFP we did about a year ago. So they're here today to present for you as well.
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do you prefer to speak from the
Yes,
mic?
if you can, that would be
No
helpful.
problem, we'll do that. Well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come here and present. And I have a team with me. We have CHW, our partners, and I'm representing Ennis. We put together a quick slide presentation. We don't want to rehash what we presented in the proposal, but we want to give you an inclination of what we would hope to do for your master plan and the vision for the downtown area and the US 17 corridor. And by demonstrating some examples that we've encountered in our practice in other areas and provide you solutions. So myself, I am Benoit Panica with Ayers Associates. I am a principal urban planner and urban designer. I have over 24 years of experience, and I've worked around the state, especially in Central Florida, and I'm familiar with planning, design, Main Street, and economic development, housing, and more. Laurie?
Hi, good evening. I'm Laurie Hall. I'm a landscape architect and certified arborist, and I'm director of landscape architecture for CHW. I have been doing this for about 17 years, and my passion is community design and public facilitation. And so I'm excited to partner with you guys in the project.
Good evening, I'm Craig Brazier, also with CHW. I'm the Director of Planning and GIS Services. I've been a professional planner for over 20 years now, and currently been at CHW for 13.
Good evening, I'm Kristen Taylor. I'm our public engagement specialist and focus heavily on communications. So a little bit about Ayers. We've been here in Florida for 32 years. Benoit is leading our team of experts down here in Florida, as well as we have the bench strength of a full development services team across the nation who can bring fresh ideas as well as supporting ideas that come from you all. We are excited to be partnering here with CHW. We've worked in many similar communities to CHW over the past few years, very successful.
CHW, as you can see there, just this year, we're celebrating our 35th anniversary. So we have 4 offices throughout Florida. Our main office is located just outside of Gainesville in Alachua, Florida. We also have offices in Jacksonville, Ocala, and Fort Myers. We have around 150 employees, and we're a multidisciplinary firm, which includes everything from survey, landscape architecture, planning, civil engineering, survey, and construction. So we've done very similar projects in very similar communities, and all of our services are strategically planned to assist communities like yourself.
Thank you. And so what we want to do really is give you some ideas of how we want to approach Crescent City, find the real solutions. We know that from your RFP, the scope requested is to create a vibrant downtown, focus on the Main Street, focus on the US 17 corridor, which is a different beast altogether. As we know, we're between the lakes, the challenges and the opportunities that come with it. Redevelopment of 2 critical sites was mentioned in the RFP. We will look into that. In addition to that, what we also want to do as we lay out this roadmap for you, to implement and give you some direction over the next 10 or 20 years, is to look at other opportunities closely tied to your history, to the culture of Crescent City. There's opportunities with recreation, open space, closely look at the economics and how literally the city is positioned within the region, and find that unique position of where Crescent City can be. And all of this will be reflecting on the aspirations of the city residents and the commission as well. So in terms of the approach to our planning and philosophy, really we think of this as a holistic approach. We're not focused too much on the images, but we do have a very strong graphic and representation team. But we really want to actually give you solutions that are implementable, and we look at it in a holistic way about safety, the vibrance of the town, reflecting the culture, and make all of these different planning items, if you will, like land use, transportation, and infrastructure, all speak to each other in a cohesive way. In the proposal, we have outlined a 26-week approach for you. It's a very detailed approach. It's in the last few slides. It'll be robust in terms of having a very thorough public engagement aspect of it. Kristen will be leading up the public engagement. We will have organized 2 workshops with the public. We will have online surveys, which will gather feedback and input. We will hopefully, in partnership with Charles, have a presence on the website and social media to tell everybody what we're doing and how we want to get to a place in collaboration with each other. So that's our planning philosophy. We're very grassroots driven, ground driven, and I just want to pick out a few elements of what's important for Crescent City, and we have an understanding of the city and the challenges that the city faces. As Charles mentioned, we have a continuing services contract with you, so we've done some extensive research on your comp plan, on your zoning and land use and economics, and how that all ties in and what's the challenges that have been faced. We know that the state road has its own challenges in terms of funding and improvements, and it has to go through DOT and how we navigate that. But this particular project that I want to show you is in the Defuniak Springs. It's a small town in the Panhandle. The reason I'm explaining this is what we want to do through this process with you is get out what's most relevant to you and find the solutions that are relevant. But we'll also bring our experience from across the state of the latest and greatest of what works and what does not work. We will be there to advise you and guide you. So for this project, we have an extensive GIS mapping component to understand what we're dealing with at a real ground level. What are your vacant properties? What are blighted? What can be turned around? What's the ownership status? Are there any public easements that we can actually leverage to create a public space network? All of that. So the first 8 weeks will be that, a thorough understanding and study. We'll look at the macroeconomics of the area from a planning level. And there's something called branding and positioning. which is so important, and where you stand, what's your unique selling point, and we'll try and identify that in collaboration with you all, totally reflecting the history, the culture, what can we, and it's already been studied and done, we've seen the US studies and everything, how can we build on all of that? We want to position that, we will come in with our benchmarks and the other elements that we've studied. And lastly, we really want to base this on the Main Street approach, which is a 4-point approach, which we are closely in collaboration with the Florida Main Street program, economic vitality, design, promotion, and organization. We fundamentally believe that, especially for small towns and municipalities, this is super critical. You can have the best plan and the best images that you want, but unless it connects with everything in terms of the funding mechanisms, the state, the DOT, and the residents and the aspirations, then we're not going to get anywhere. So very successful program in DOT. This is US 90 running across one side. We were able to have that discussion to narrow their street, create a more safe and vibrant pedestrian sidewalk system, very similar to what you have outside here. Create a walkable pedestrian space. So all of these different aspects are so relevant to here. This is another example for Wildwood that we just got done. This was talking about redevelopment in blighted sites, a CSX rail line going through with some contamination, some other issues, but this plan was completed in 2021. But the city since then has called us, and we're in close partnership with the city to find blighted sites. There's in discussion right now is a pedestrian bridge across the rail, numerous opportunities and close connections with the development community, and find out what the real challenges are. Modifying land use regulations, increasing density, affordable housing, how do we partner with various the business community trying to make that happen. Corridor planning is another area. So this example is from Lakeland. We just got done with District 1. So literally this was the idea here was a 4-lane road narrowed down to a 2-3-lane road with public transportation and increased sidewalks. So we typically think that DOT is not willing to have this discussion, but we were successful in actually having that discussion and then making it something more than just a road, really connecting critical sites, especially the redevelopment sites, packaging them up and making them appealing to potential users, whether it's public entities or private entities, to make that improve the quality of that. And it totally depends on where the city wants to be with growth and how much they want to take it. So really, we want to channelize your thoughts and your ideas and filter it and advise you the best possible way. Kristen?
Yeah, so as Benoit mentioned, one of the most important pieces of this project is the community and stakeholder collaboration. So our process really begins with listening to you and listening to the community and hearing what you have to say. We're not coming in with a plan and visuals and throwing it at you and saying, this is what you need. We want to hear from you what you need, and then we want to put that into implementable actions. So the first step of all of that is working together with the city, the commission, to determine stakeholders and project champions. And then tailoring our strategies to the local conditions and finding the right places and times to connect with those stakeholders on their terms and hear what they have to say. And finally, we'll have multiple public involvement meetings where we invite the public to come in and interact with us and look at boards and say what they do and what they don't like. Give us the Post-its, give us your opinions, and really listen and take all that information back to develop what's right for you. We really pride ourselves on the variety of ways that we connect with them, right? So Benoit mentioned surveys. We can make a website. We love using charrettes and workshops where we hear from them and they talk to us and they show us what they like on boards. So we really enjoy creating innovative engagement opportunities for them that gets everyone really excited about what we're doing.
So we've had a number of successful projects teaming with AIRS. And one of the reasons that those projects have been so successful is that it starts with data collection. And one of the most important components, if not the most important component of data collection, is hearing from the experts, which is the community. Because if anything, this is the community's plan. This plan must reflect the community's goals and the community's vision. We have tools that we can apply to help you get there, and we can take your feedback and your input and then help you craft the plan, but the plan is yours. And it's important through these early neighborhood workshops and stakeholder meetings to get as much information, to draw out as much local expertise as possible. So we have some exercises that we can do, visual preference surveys, finding out what other memorable places the community aspires to be, or even what other places maybe the community doesn't want to be. So when you point to those things, when you help us understand what the community is trying to achieve, we can then help you get there through the plan. Another piece of data collection is in our GIS mapping. So that creates a strong foundation, because when we get to creating imagery, not only do we want to show you and create nice images for you, we want them to be based in reality and something that you can eventually go out and achieve, that you can construct. So we want it to be compliant with your code. We want it to be compatible with the rights of way that are really on the ground. We want it to be realistic. We don't just want to show you a pretty picture that you can never achieve. So that's one of the things that that's one of the approaches, that's a fundamental component that we apply to all of our projects. And I think that's why they've been successful, because it's important that we give you a plan that's implementable. So at the end, it doesn't just go sit on a shelf, that we show you and outline for you the steps and how to put this plan into action. And we just completed a Trails Master Plan for the city of Jax Beach, and they are now already starting to implement and construct those trails. And so we want to break it down in phases and help you achieve it based on the monies you have, based on the time you have, based on reasonable opportunities. So that's a very important component, and that's a big part of the master plan that we were creating for you.
And then I hope really what you've heard is our community-focused approach. And that goes into the details of the design. So one of the things that we love to do as part of these is to really dive down into those details of what makes Crescent City a special place, and how do you reflect that in the design. And so when we talk about details, materials, furniture, wayfinding, those are the tangible things that visitors, people driving through, understand where they're at. And it also gives that pride to the community, that it reflects the community and why this is a special community. And then also finally, just 3D illustrations and visualization. So, in all of our solutions, we want to make sure that we're communicating in a way that people can see, they can understand. Craig talked about it. It is more than a pretty picture. A pretty picture helps to illustrate what we're doing, but we want to make sure that our pretty pictures are rooted in what's doable, what's practical, what we know that you can achieve. And so putting forth something that reflects the community, that speaks to the aspirations of the community, and something that the community can achieve in the future.
Okay, thank you. So really, pretty pictures, we are big into it. We create massive videos, and we can be transferred on a QR code, spread around in phones and interactive. So we have the ability to do all of that, but as Laurie and Craig and Kristen was emphasizing, it's really making those designs implementable. So we really want to peel it off, make it into quick wins, medium-term wins, and long-term wins. And some are actual physical projects, some are partnerships and collaborations with different entities and agencies, and some are like adjustments to your code. So we'll tidy up all of that and try and make sure that it is working, and as opposed to just a general picture. So why us? We're multidisciplinary. We have in-house transportation, engineering, infrastructure, landscape architecture, urban planning. So we understand the complexities of not only pretty pictures and design, which we can do, we also understand implementation and the real drives for that. We will be our focus is really on implementation. As we can talk to our clients, we don't just leave after the project is done. We will continue to engage with you when we know of grants and other opportunities that the bipartisan infrastructure bill, certain elements, we will forward that to you and say if there's an interest to go after this, we will highlight DOT programs or any other programs that can benefit the community. We really also want to look at recreation as an asset for you. It's not highlighted much in your RFP, but we think that's an area that can really help. And we have that expertise, and we're looking at even economic generation related to recreation and tourism. We will be an active partner and collaborator, and all our clients can vouch for that. Totally integrated with the process, with the community, with surveys and social media and all that. So in a nutshell, we hope that our approach is really, and we recommend a more thorough approach based on the realities of the ground and realities of the aspirations of the people and the commissioners and the decision makers, and what's possible with the agencies and what's not. So we really are big into trying to make plans implementable and in the long run, turning around communities into a happy and vibrant place. So with that, I will end my presentation and open it up. Charles, the Q&A? The Q&A now? Okay. We'll take the questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Commissioners,
Yeah.
do you have any questions?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your understanding of our community, as you've expressed it. One question I have is just, we're a very small town. Have you ever planned for an area this small? I mean, we have 1,650 people and 2 square miles.
Yes, so the Funiac Springs, the one I showed you, is slightly bigger. It's roughly in that scale. It's a much larger city, so I think in terms of population and density, it's roughly in your scale. It's around 5,000 people.
Yeah, I looked it up, it said 6,000 or something.
Yeah, 5,990.
Right, it's a big difference.
It's big and, yeah, it's a
Big
bit.
but small. I
It's big but
understand.
small,
I
but big.
used to live right by Defeatiac, so
Yeah.
I know Defeatiac very well.
And we're currently working in Brooksville. It's a little bigger, it's about 9,000, but the challenges are the same. It's blighted properties, highways, you have a main street that's looking towards growing and finding itself, pockets of improvement with streetscape and other investments that are being made. Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned getting DOT to make changes or something in, what was it, Highway 19?
So this is US 37 in Lakeland. So the other one was in the Funiac Springs Highway 90. So these are massive state roads which in typical terms, you don't see, you think that DOT is not going to kind of work with communities and they want to design and they drive
Right,
around.
I grew up in Florida. So
Right.
I'm 66. I've seen how DOT operates, and we've not had any success with them
Right.
for most things. So I get that part. What exactly, because right now we have a constrained right of way. What exactly can you get DOT to do?
I can't promise anything right now, but we will engage in a process to have that discussion with them like we did for Lakeland. It's a 5-lane highway converted to a 3-lane highway on a busy state road, US 37, Highway 37. So it's called a road diet. It's the first in its state. What it did, it improved a 4-foot wide sidewalk into 11 feet wide sidewalk. It came directly from the residents saying it was unsafe and not a friendly place to walk. So this project is right now, we got done with this project, hugely contentious. Public meetings, 450 people, 500 people show up. Lakeland is slightly bigger population, I understand, but the communities that we're dealing with is very similar. The issues are, it's South Florida Avenue, it's the same thing. But it got the DOT, we had high-level meetings with the DOT, and they bought this idea. It was proposed by them initially, but there was contention between the public and the decision makers on what direction to go. We came in, we presented 10 scenarios of the road and presented options of the pros and cons of each. And finally, it was decided that it would be a 3-lane road with public transport option, with option to convert public transport on the outer lanes, improve sidewalks. The business community was all for it because it was a business decision. Improving sidewalks, having parking in the back, and making it work. So the context is the same, but yes.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, we're completely bifurcated by US 17, so obviously that's a big feature. The CRA area that you're proposing to make the plan for is predominantly composed of also a National Register historic district. Do you have any experience planning that involves historic districts?
Yes, so I have worked on design guidelines with historic districts, and we have a fairly thorough appreciation and understanding of the guidelines of the National Historic Registry and the intentions of the Secretary of Interior Board and what their requirements are. With the historic aspects, let's say, there is it's a give and take. So it inhibits development in terms of maximizing its purpose, but yet it's important. So how do we preserve the integrity and cultural heritage, but yet facilitate growth and opportunities for business owners and the others? So we work closely. I've personally prepared a national award-winning design guidelines for the Minneapolis Warehouse District in Minneapolis. Totally different context, but relatable. And we have a good understanding.
Sure, I was just gonna add that one of our landscape architects also has a master's in historic preservation and is passionate about that. And so it's definitely something that we have knowledge on and are excited to work in, honestly.
I was looking at some of your affordable housing, innovation tools. I just love it, quite frankly, the tiny housing zoning, the deed restrictions. I think that could kind of work in different areas here in Crescent City. I mean, I have to get with you as to which areas are we actually kind of developing. I know you want to develop Central and then want to develop 17. But I just think that this is a little more innovative than what I've seen. How's that sound? What I always seem to see, most of this is just big buildings going up and, sidewalks being put with brick and this kind of stuff. This looks interesting. So,
thank you.
yeah.
So that piece that you see is directly in relationship to the National Main Street Program. Yeah. So we're kind of an expert on the expert panel for national affordable housing. So we have an economic development specialist in team, he's not here, but who looks at the economics of what's viable in terms of housing. So we don't know exactly what the right solution right now, but there are a range of options. It's a big, jargon term that people use all the time without fully understanding what it is, and you want to apply the right tool or tools. That's relevant here. It all depends on your lot size, how big your lots are, what lots can be assimilated, parking and access. Yeah.
And I believe that regardless of the size of our community, we all still kind of share with other communities some of the same issues, just on a different scale. That would be my thought, because you go to some of these other communities, and you talk to them, they're dealing with a lot of the same issues we're dealing with. Now, they might be larger, and it's on a larger scale, but we still are all kind of dealing with some of these same issues. It's just on a smaller scale, regardless of the size of the community. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Oh, Mayor, I did have one more question.
Okay.
Sorry, it's been a long week. If I asked this before, pardon me. Did I ask this? Currently, we're in the middle, we're really kind of a third of the way through approximately of updating our land development code. Our planner is presenting chapters to us. That process is not expected to be complete until August. Would you recommend that we finish that before we start this process?
That's a question for Charles, but I will give you my opinion.
Sure.
I think, as Charles has planned this project, I think it happens later in the year. Is that my understanding? That this, our project, or is it starting now?
We'll start soon as soon as possible.
Start soon as possible. So I think what we will do is, by the time we're done with the data collection, hopefully that information, whoever the consultant is, I think we can work closely with them and understand, inform each other mutually and have that discussion, depending on how soon you want us to start. If we can start and overlap with them, for sure, I think that's probably the first discussion that we will be having, including the intention of the land development code. But we also, I think, want to have discussions with all of you commissioners and the stakeholders. We'll identify with Charles who are the main landowners, stakeholders, have a vested interest in the growth of the community. Have that discussion and see what direction you want to go in, because not all growth is good. You want to optimize it. Where do you want to be? Have those fundamental questions. What's your commercial profile? Do you want an economy that's not only service related, you know? What are they? Have those open discussions. We have our own thoughts, but we don't want, you know, but we'll share what we've learned from other communities for sure.
That's all I have. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the
I know it's been
opportunity.
a long evening and we appreciate you hanging in there with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got one. Thank you.
Yeah, I got the original, I have the original one and I have that one.
And you're from Tampa, right?
We're from Tampa, CW, from actually Winslow.
Right.
Excuse me?
Diane Sykes,
I haven't opened up public comment at this time yet. So,
oh, this is in regard to,
okay, but I just haven't opened up public comment yet. Waiting on Charles to bring in the.
So they're gonna wait over here, so you guys can deliberate.
Okay.
Is anyone else cold?
Yeah, it's chilly, but keeps the germs down.
So Mayor, the request tonight is to choose one of the firms and authorize me to, either go contract with them to start this process.
Commissioners, does anybody want to, open up discussion on this, or do we want to, anybody want to make a motion on one of these, or do we want to enter into discussion first, and then we'll open it up to public comment when we're done? Before we vote?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Somebody.
I was gonna say, you know, some of what Commissioner DeVito said is absolutely right. It just seems like we have these visions and we have these plans and we seem to start and then we stall, you know, quite a bit. But I don't know, just looking through the packets, I feel a little bit rushed here, quite frankly, but I kind of know which one I like best. But I think we do need some help from the public at this point in time, what maybe their vision might be for the city.
Everybody's in agreement, I'll go ahead and open up public comment, and we'll carry it back to the commission. So I'm gonna open up public comment at this time. Please come forward, say your name. I'm just making sure you get plenty of exercise tonight, Diane, I'm sorry.
Diane Sykes, there on Chestnut Street. Carrie, you're the only one who was on the commission the last time we did this. I'm looking, it was 17 years ago. We had University of Florida come in. We paid $30,000 for an analysis of what we should do with Crescent City. And when that analysis came in, they had the parking lots all laid out, scoped out. It even included a crescent-shaped dock. So we had University of Florida, and I was just curious, can we pull that back out and use that as a starting point as opposed to beginning all over again? I would think that it would still be valid unless somebody says otherwise. We just, as was said, we never took any action on it.
That'll be part of the research.
Did you hear that, Diane?
That'll be part of the research. They'll take all that into account, every study we've done.
Oh, okay, thank you.
The other thing I want to say is, you know, we're looking at $100,000, but $50,000 of that looks to be a grant. Could be a grant. And the other $50,000 comes from us.
The CRA.
The CRA. Okay, so just so you know how they come up with that $100,000, that's what I'm reading here.
And also to clarify, so every 5 to 7 years, we have to update our redevelopment plan.
Yes.
And it's time to do that by the time this is done next spring. And as one of the speakers said, the redevelopment plan really is what you can spend on. So the vision and master plan will guide that, and the redevelopment plan will get it done. So to just create the redevelopment plan without an overarching vision and master plan seems kind of just shooting in the dark. So it's important to have a plan to guide us, and we will need to update the commission, whoever's here in 10 years or whatever we decide, like, let's take a look at the vision again. We're either achieving it or somehow we went astray. We'll look at it again, like, are we still on track? Is it still what we see our community going? You'll look at it again, redevelopment plan will be in another 5 to 7 years. And the master plan could be in 10 years, 15 years.
You know, living here, I can kind of remember that plan that came out, and I think we've done some of that. Didn't we put the docks in? We've done a few things according to that plan. But then again, you know, they talked about having a hotel, I guess, on the corner, those kinds of things. None of that kind of materialized. So that tells me there's something wrong with that plan where we kind of got what worked, but now maybe we need to relook at it and see what we can maybe do to have something else work. If that kind of makes sense, because that's been kind of stagnant. Well, since I've lived here, I don't know, probably a lot longer than I've lived here. So sometimes it's, we can't just wait and think that those things are gonna.
I'll continue with public comment, sir. If you would like to come forward, please state your name and your address if you would like.
Good evening, I'm Charles Bell. I've never been a fan of throwing money at something to solve a problem where the problem perhaps could be solved in-house. I mean, you're elected officials. You know what goes on in Preston. These people are visitors. Their business is to talk to people like you and talk you into hiring them as consultants to dream build and show all the great things that Crescent City can be, but they fall short on implementation because implementation requires money. And I'm also highly concerned about the fact that what I see coming over the horizon. I pay attention to economic things. Republic Bank just went under. The Silicon Valley Bank just went under. Your Fortune 1000 companies right now are in a process of layoffs. Disney, Walmart, Burger King, and McDonald's being four of them. Right? And my point is that, is this a time to be hiring outside consultants? Is this a time to be breaking the town's budget? Or is this a time for us to maybe take an over the horizon look at our economy and what's happening to the economy? And you do all this great planning, you pay for all this great planning, and if you cannot find or generate the money for whatever reason to implement it, then you're simply pissing money away. And I would highly suggest that rather than hire an outside consultant, go down to some of the local success stories, DeLand being one of them. I was in DeLand in 1980. It looked like the St. John's Avenue in Palatka. And it was turned around through a lot of hard work. And I would suggest to you, rather than hiring outside consultants, go talk to the city planners for DeLand and find out how they did this. And the problems that we're having in Crescent City, I was here the last time we hired consultants and they brought in planning for roads and the DOT, you mentioned the DOT, they're not your friend. They brought in a big chunk of money and they waved it in front of you and they said, either you put islands all the way down through here and split the highway and take up everybody's right of way on either side, everybody's sidewalks on either side, everybody's front yards on either side, or we won't improve the roads. It was my way or no highway.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. I've watched both presentations tonight for these consulting firms, and they can help you in a lot of ways, but only so far. They're dream builders. They're not implementers. Their building efforts stop with the dream. And then it comes back to your plate and your desks anyway to figure out how to make all this happen, whether it's through grants or through tax incentives or through bringing in small businesses. And I strongly suggest to you, go look at some 40-year-old pictures of the main drive through DeLand and look at what it is today. And implement whatever they did, duplicate whatever they did. My initials are CV. Some people would think that's Chuck Bam. I tend to think it's more like Cheap Bastard. And I'm not prone to throwing money at a problem where you're not guaranteed a solution.
Thank you. And your name again, Karen, did you get his name? Did you state your name, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Would you restate?
Charles Bam.
Okay, I just want to make sure Karen got that. Thank you very much. Did you say Benson?
Ben.
BHM.
All right, Nancy Taylor, down who I am. I'm just really surprised by this presentation. I mean, they were great and everything. Y'all have been, not some of you, but this commission has been doing this for decades, and nothing has changed in Crescent City. Since then, we had all these visions from UF, from different people. They sounded great. They had these beautiful flyers they presented to you, and nothing else has been done. So I just don't understand why you're kicking the can down the road even further. And then we have the downtown partnership. Mr. Rudd's pitch for the downtown partnership before it was formed sounded just like some of the things they said tonight. So we had a downtown partnership. Now we're part of the Main Street program. So why do we have to have other people come in and tell us what we need to do when the Main Street program has consultants? The downtown partnership has good people in it, and this is just kicking the can down the road further, and nothing else has been done. Main Street, downtown Crescent City has not changed in 20 years except for going down. It looks a little better. Thank you very much. You've got some paint on some buildings, and that really does look better. But there's nothing there, and I hate that. I grew up here. There was vibrancy down here. There was everything in Crescent City, and now there's nothing. I just feel like you're just spinning your wheels and doing nothing, and there's grant money to be spent, and I feel like you think you gotta spend it or take it, and I don't like that.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment?
Tracy Eckhart, 109 North Prospect Street. I think that when there's an opportunity to look forward, that we should. And I agree with Nancy that we have, the downtown partnership, Main Street now, and there has been a lot of progress in the last 2 years. Really, the past year has made a lot of difference. It's a matter of, do you want to continue to move forward, or do you just want to sit back and kick the beer can down the driveway and then complain about things? Because it seems like that's where it is. Presentations, they're both good. You guys have the facts before you. I particularly like some of the things the second group of heirs had to say about the highway and some of the other things that have never been discussed before. Sure, the other one had a lot of pretty pictures, but we don't want Maitland here. That's not where Crescent City is. And I knew Maitland before it was developed, and it's a lovely place now. But are we gonna do something and move forward, or are we just gonna sit still and sit around and complain?
Thank you. Anybody else before I close out public comment? Want to close out public comment at this time?
Erica, address some of that. First of all, I would encourage you not to be drawn into much of the DOT comments. I've worked in DOT in every community I served in, and we've never been able to get DOT to do anything that a consulting firm has assured us they can get them to do. Nothing against any of our firms. I'm just saying my experience has been, in part of this process, I would be wary of that if we felt something where we're going to need DOT to make a big change, because that's just, DOT has a mission, they're very focused, and they really have their way of doing things. So I just want to hope we don't climb onto that as our hope for the DOT. They do. They have plans. They need to move traffic through our community, and this is the only north and south route in the area, so and so forth. So the other thing I'll mention, I think I sent out to you a spreadsheet of the CRA. I kind of projected. We paid for a little bit of the whole amount this year and the rest next year. We still have funds to work with. It will not break us or deplete us. We'll still be able to function and do well. And I just want to encourage you that what I believe in is plan to work to plan. So we do have a short-term plan for the downtown. There's just been a lot of maintenance and catch-up to do. Commissioner DeVito has been saying for months, we need short, mid, and long-range plan. That's what a vision and master plan provides us. If you look at our CRA, it's adopted, the North CRA, huge area, there's no vision. It just says, if there's dirt roads, pave them, help with broadband, help business owners make improvements. There's no plan, there's no vision, what will that become, what will new development look like, nothing. And the South CRA, which is really tiny, little area in the south of town, nothing there either. So we need those elements of our redevelopment plan and a vision for the whole corridor, how we want this corridor to grow. And it seems like we're always at the edge of a recession coming. We're also at the edge of Bass Pro World coming, or whatever it's called. So we're working to prepare for that with our land development code. And I think this will marry with it, but the vision will give us our goal for the redevelopment plan. When we update it, we need to know what is it we're going towards? What is it we're working towards when we do finish up these short range goals? Many of them are things we can accomplish, low hanging fruit. So then what's next? What's the longer? When someone comes to us, I spoke with a firm today about the Market Square. What do you guys want to see there? I said, well, we want to see mixed use. But I couldn't really show any visuals. We don't have any visuals, any conceptuals of the property or what's going to go on around it. So that's what this process provides us with, tools and a map, and then our redevelopment plan will enable us to do those projects, because you can't spend money unless it's in the plan. So I just think this is an important first step. We've been going since I've been here a year and a half, just kind of going on the old plan. There are a number of things in there I can tell people don't want to do. So we need to really look at that. We approved it, but that's not going to apply, including the moon-shaped dock and so forth. So our job is to make sure that stuff doesn't get into a new plan where we really think we can do the new plan. And still, even though it'll be 20 years out, maybe, that we think the community will want to see it. So my encouragement is we can do this. This is kind of a fundamental step to give us our marching orders. So we have those short range, mid-range, and long-range goals. Every year the budget will point to, like, the reason this is in the budget because it's here in the plan and it's a mid-range goal or it's a short-range goal. So it all connects it together. So we're coordinating, we know what we're doing, we have a plan, we can show a developer, we actually have a plan for the community. Here's how we see it growing, here's some conceptual watercolors or computer generation or whatever it is, how we see our community. And, in 5 years, if there's a huge recession that might occur, we still gotta have a redevelopment plan updated, we still gotta have a vision. And maybe the vision gets put off by a 5-year recession, or maybe it gets accelerated by Bass Pro World coming in and just developers just want to eat this place up. But we'll have something to look at and go, no. I know you're very excited about your project, but it really isn't fitting in line with the community said we want to look like in 20 years. So that's my encouragement to you. We can afford this. I think it's a fundamental step. It's kind of a first step. And I guarantee you, DeLand has had many master plans over the years.
Yes, quite a few. That just didn't happen.
It did not happen. So, and that master plan would be appropriate here. So we can't just take it. And they hired a consultant to do those master plans.
Yeah, they sure did. That's what I was gonna say. Down in D-Land, they had 2 or 3 plans. And Malacca, I don't know, Malacca didn't never get on round 1 downtown. So you can see how it is still.
But they're working on it.
Yeah, when they working on it.
Yeah.
But they got to pay people for information too. Yeah.
And we need to go outside. We need to go out of house for the expertise, the design technology.
Is Bass Pro World trying to do anything around here? I mean, they're less than Walker. I mean, that's 20 miles away.
Well, if you look in other attractions in the state and the region, what happens nearby, you can't get in next door. You want to get near it. You want to develop. You want to pick up on when people call me about putting in other resort facilities or even other RV parks, they mention, well, we know that the Bass World's coming. So we want to be near it. We want to.
That's still a lot of speculation. Nobody really knows what they're gonna do over there, but everybody wants to be in on it.
It'd be good for us to solidify our vision.
Sure. Yeah, we want to be ready.
Well, you got to plan for the future. If you don't plan for it, then when the future comes, you get like, I-4 down there in Orlando. It's murder. You got the plan just like up in Jacksonville with 95. They didn't plan the growth Disney World and those different steam parks were gonna bring. Now, every time you go down there, you got construction, adding on. See, but if somebody would have planned for the future, we just can't say it, we don't plan for the future. There's gonna be a future.
Okay, so yes, Commissioner Bailey, and then we're gonna, I need a motion or some direction.
I wanna play devil's advocate a little bit. I think what Mr. Benham said has a lot of merit, especially when we have a CRA manager, that why can't we do this in-house and have some kind of plan that we have that we can afford? My problem is, I'm sitting here looking at $100,000, I don't care where it comes from. What's going on is, we can't afford to do anything about that plan after we get it. Why have a plan in something when we're absolutely too broke to implement it? I mean, if I take off today and I have to go to Orlando and I don't have enough gas to get there, I can make the flight plan all I want, but if I can't get there, it's fuel. Now, if we have something that we can do with our monies that we have, instead of putting 50 grand or 60 grand into building the park or building the pavilion that you want or building this, I can see implementing that. To where you're doing something you can afford, but I can't see spending $100,000 on something we're gonna get a plan in 5 years, we can no more floaters than man moon.
Well, a portion of that will be our improvements, public sector improvements. Another portion will be private sector. So when someone comes, they're gonna show us, they're gonna do, both the firms said they will illustrate sites of what could go there, what could be developed there based on our vision. But just like on the back of this wall, there's a big plan for our water main improvements. Now that we have that plan, we start looking for funding, and we can check things off. So it gives us guidance. So when, oh, there's a water grant available, I don't have to go, where do we need water? We go to the plan. Oh, Prospect Street needs a new water main.
But couldn't we do that plan in-house? Nobody knows this town better than our people in here, and better than Christina making what we would want with the downtown. You got the downtown partnership, you got those plans and stuff. We haven't implemented those yet. Why would we spend $100-some thousand on a plan we can never do when nobody knows better than this plan than us?
Well, we'll certainly inform the plan. We don't have the expertise to create. You can see the graphics they have, the master plan.
I've seen the graphics that you did with the paintings and stuff down here that almost was implemented to the T.
But I've got a job. Like, this is a whole job. You know, we need to hire somebody, you do this, even with a firm, it's gonna take 8 months. So to do this in-house, it's just not gonna be the quality of what we can get with somebody who specializes. They've done it over and over again, they know the problems that are encountered, they've looked back at the communities where they've had programs and go, this worked, this didn't work. So they've got experience. It's the same thing of hiring an experienced plumber versus I'm gonna give this a shot myself and I'll fit it in on the weekend when I can. So for us to fit it into our schedule and try to, I mean, we could type something up and it's just not the same to have a professional document, a real plan.
Not having that in our, I mean, that's not in our toolbox.
Yeah.
It's just not in our toolbox, what they have available to them and the expertise that they have.
But the only thing I'm saying is they have a great toolbox, but we can't afford to do it. What good is it?
Well, I believe that we can't afford to do it. And I believe for, moving forward, okay, just what, Commissioner Banks said, you know, you gotta look to the future and you gotta plan the future. So I do believe we have the money to do it, and I think we should make a motion to move forward here. I'm not exactly sure what kind of a motion we're making because we're actually deciding which firm we're doing.
Yeah, you can make a motion to select a specific firm and authorize the city manager to do a contract for services.
Okay, so the motion needs to be that we, select a certain firm and enter into a contract once we decide to do that, so.
You have two options.
Yeah.
You have, I mean, you have the options.
Well, why don't we think about this before we do this rather
I
than?
think that we have thought about this though. This
Okay.
was a month ago, we got this packet to look at and review and think about it. And, you know, we think about all kinds of things here. And sometimes, you know, you gotta quit thinking, and get doing. That's the way I feel. So,
Charles, when is the grant application? When is it due? When is
It's
it?
due middle of June.
Okay, when do they expect to have that, decided, do you know? When?
I'll be with the legislature when the,
Well, okay,
yeah, with the governor,
so it won't be until
early July,
early
they'll announce.
Oh, so they'll announce it early July, through the,
Or maybe mid-July.
okay.
Wait, Mayor, I have a question. Wait, so how does that work? The deadline to apply for this grant is what date?
I think it was, I sent it to you in an email, it's like June 13th or 16th or something.
Okay, so we have to get it in June 13th. They're gonna make a quick decision about who gets the grants?
I guess so. I think the way I understand it is that the pot of money gets approved. Once they won't announce anybody, so they know the governor has
Until he
signed,
signed off on the budget for that, yes.
then they notify who they've chosen.
So it will only take a matter of days or weeks for them to figure out who they're choosing.
I think the governor done signed off on the budget, and are they waiting on him, his signature? to-
Right, Commissioner Banks is right, they've signed off on the budget.
Mhm.
But obviously, the application period, so there will be an application period, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I don't know, do we know how much money is in that grant category?
I don't, I know the grants are maximum of $75,000. I planned to offer a match. I think we have a better shot at telling we'll match a grant. So I was gonna apply for $50,000.
Right, so, but it looked to me, I read what you sent me, it looked to me like we are not in the favored categories. We're not in the prioritized categories.
Well, this is the same grant that was used to update our comprehensive plan. It was used for, actually, it was three of us, two cities together did it. It's one I use in Newport Richie for a master plan and corridor plan. It's.
Right, but they have, it's just like historic preservation, I saw, they're prioritizing certain things. One of them was like resilience or things that did not apply to, they did seem to apply to our community. We did not seem to fit to the priority areas. So I don't know where the mayor was going with that question.
I was just wondering. So with that, does somebody want to make, does anybody want to make a motion? Do you feel like you need to, that you've got enough information from these two companies to make a motion?
I do.
Okay, do you want to make a motion?
Okay, so the motion is, okay, to, choose which company we want to go to for the plan, for the, and then, let's see, so it's two things in one. I just want to make sure I worded it correctly.
The staff's recommendation was GAI. They're the highest ranking from our staff.
Right. So you're pushing that.
So that's our recommendation.
Okay, and I don't, okay, so,
But you make a recommendation, that's staff recommendation, you know, you had the presentation from both these companies.
That's why I wanted to come in so you could hear from them
Yeah,
themselves.
and you've got, you've got their backup.
okay, so we have to choose one company out of the two. And then move forward with, a contract.
Going forward, Commissioner DeVito, did you have something to say?
Well, I know they've already been ranked, but would the appropriate thing to do be to vote whether or not to pursue a master plan and then have us, rank the companies and see how they come
Go
out?
that direction too.
Yeah, we could, I think that sounds a little better.
You want to make a motion, do we want to do a master plan? So can I get a motion, please, for,
What's the motion for something?
I need a motion.
It's just confusing if you put it all together.
I need a motion. So first course of action, does the commission want to go forward with having a master plan and redevelopment plan update?
Okay, I'll make a motion.
To do a master
Yeah,
plan?
to do a master plan.
Okay, do I have a
I
second?
second.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, commissioners?
I have a question for the city manager.
Okay.
Okay, so this is $100,000. After we spend the money in each CRA budget, there's not much left over. It was recommended last year by people from the community that we hire a grant writer. We have not done that. Is there going to be money in either the CRA budget or the general budget to hire a grant writer?
You can give us that direction, that
Well, I'm
put it in the general fund or.
Right, but last year that got taken off the list because there was no money. And we're not going to have any money when we finish with this either.
Well, the one I sent you still had $40,000 for redevelopment grants, just in the central CRA, I think 40,000 in the north CRA. It still had about, I think, $20,000 for improvements and maintenance in the central CRA. The north CRA has the most amount of money, so there's still quite a bit of money to work with. And then the following year, we'll be back. Won't have this expenditure, we'll be back to the slightly more revenue. We go up each year.
But I want to say the thing that confounds me is we're the community with the CRA in South Putnam, and we are the community that does not have the businesses open. Willaca and San Mateo don't have a plan, they don't have a CRA, they're having businesses open. And I think we need to look, regardless of what we do here, we need to look at why is that happening? I mean, I just think that's data, that's something we need to know. So that's all I have.
We've had several businesses open just right here on Central Avenue, just in the last year. We've had, Symphony, they've moved there. K-Cuts is there, Cassie's is there, so I mean, we're starting to get some activity. And we've got the bistro, so I mean, we are getting some businesses here.
Not compared to the activity in the other locations. We're struggling, they're pumping. That's my concern.
Okay, I asked the question, please, we've got a motion.
We've got a motion and a second, so all in favor, Karen, would you just do a roll call for us, please?
Commissioner DeVito?
Nay.
Commissioner Bailey?
Nay.
Commissioner Banks?
Aye.
Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay, that passes. So we've got that, so now we're down to which company, do we have a motion on which company that, the commission? First, we have staff recommendation for the GAI, they were the first presenters, and then we have AIRS, which we also have a, AIRS, we have,
So should we what?
a continuing contract with, correct?
So should we do this by secret ballot?
Oh, there wouldn't be secret, but my suggestion was that we write down which one, give one a 1 and one a 2. I mean,
We can do that. Karen, do you have any? I've got some paper here.
first choice, second choice.
Yeah, so basically, between these two, this was the first one that we had,
And
that was the first. group.
And then
You got
This was the second. Okay, so I'll just do this before we go to, right?
Well, that's Mayor, my question is what works, since there's just 2, should we just put our top choice? Does that work better?
I think that would work.
I think that works better, put your
Okay.
top choice, number 1, and then number 2. I think that works pretty good.
Here, can I use my little dinky white piece of paper? Or should I?
Use one yellow so she can,
Okay.
so everybody can.
Right, oh, you're right, okay.
I'll give you a couple of minutes. if anybody wants to look through this.
No, you didn't have one.
Here's okay. It's much colder on this end. Or it's so cold.
It is
Yeah, but-
No, it's cold, I'm cold.
How cold is it there? It's colder.
Poor Commissioner Banks worries about me sometimes because I get the my teeth chatter.
Well, my question is, how cold is it?
Lingo, turn it down, Lingo, turn it down.
Where,
I'll go.
first of all, how cold is it back where the residents are sitting? If they're hot, I don't know, somewhere.
Very cold.
Okay, it's cold, all right. Just want to be fair about this.
But I close this down, I'll go, turn it down. We'll turn it up. I bet you, are you sure? No, I'm here. It's very cold, like being in a hospital. Yes. Okay,
Do you want me to wait, or?
I guess we have two commissioners that are not gonna turn the air up while
We could just say until they missed out. Look, tell them they have to go look at the video. Or I guess, Charles, we give the results to whoever's selected, right? We tell them tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did this of our two. They were worried, they thought we had forgotten them.
I'll keep them together. I'm still kind of quicker in the bathroom. I'm just kidding.
I know the song.
And it's killing me. And it's killing me too. I've seen kids today.
Yeah, the little kid in the piano song.
Okay, Commissioner Banks. Did you run into Commissioner Bailey in the hallway? I did. You did? Okay. Then maybe we should go ahead.
Do you want me to go ahead?
You
want me to wait?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
I think so.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. I have here results. I have first choice on Harris 4 times, and then first choice for GAI 1 time. So the vote would be for Air Associates.
Okay.
4 to 1.
So do we need a motion? We need a motion, so I need a motion for us to accept. And authorize him to enter into a contract.
Okay, I move that we accept the proposal of the Ayers consulting firm, and that we authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with them for that proposal.
Okay.
Second.
A motion and a second. Commissioners, Karen, you want to take a roll call, please?
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I made
the
motion. Commissioner Banks did, Commissioner DeVito made the motion.
Commissioner Burton?
Commissioner Banks? Aye.
Commissioner Bailey?
Nay.
Commissioner DeVito? Aye.
Mayor Mars.
Aye. Okay, so moved. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on. I know, if you can, yes, sir. You can let them know. Okay.
Just let them know about Friday.
So we thank all of you for the time that you've taken to come to Crescent City. We hope you've enjoyed your time here in Crescent City. The commission has voted and we are entering into a contract with Ayers and Associates. So, but we do thank everyone here and we know a lot of work has been put into this and we look forward to the final outcome. So thank you.
Thank you.
And be safe traveling home.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, Charles, let's move on to consideration of the emergency redevelopment grant.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is, what I consider, I call it an emergency redevelopment grant. Property owner brought me into the barber shop to show me the roof was caving in the back of the building and, kind of gotten out. We did offer, request a 50% matching grant, which is the direction we're going. So I told him we'd bring it for you tonight, see if we can, provide some assistance. The bids are there, $6,200 and $44.46. They are licensed and insured, and so we're recommending Edward Senior Construction for a 50% match of $2,223.
Okay, Commissioner, do I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the emergency redevelopment grant award for 324 Central Avenue. 50% match for the roof repair awarded to Edward Senior Construction.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner, do we have any discussion?
I have a comment about this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So this is the building that previously got an awning. It is just my sincere hope. Apparently they knew the roof was not doing too well at that time, but they didn't include it in the grant request. I hope in the future, and if we don't have this in the grant program, we need to take a look at that. That we not fund facade if there are structural issues that should come first.
Well, it wasn't going to get insured if we didn't fix the awning, so that was.
He wasn't gonna get what?
His insurance, they were gonna cancel him.
If we don't fix the awning?
It was.
Yeah, that overhang. Yeah,
Okay,
overhang.
it doesn't,
Overhang.
it doesn't say this in the memo, so I have no way to know. Okay, all right, that's it.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
I said something, when you resurfacing housing, you have to be very careful. I know when we got the, couple grants in my time up here and, for the low income. And once the contractor bid, it just don't go tear the flow out, look all under it and all like that. And then time, the bid and we grant the bid, then they have to come back to us and get a.
Change order.
Yeah, and to get another work order, then they had to go in there and tear it out and find all that up under that rock. Yeah, so I don't know whether we can put something in to our system the way they do it like that. Let them check it out first before we issue a grant to make sure. But I see it happen too many times. I think that Commissioner Rita was hit on just a while ago. But once you get that bid in, especially when you deal with the government grant money, you have to be very good to come back and get a whole different order. And that's why you see when you're dealing with the low income housing, sometimes you have to just tear the whole house down. When you go out the second time and look, it's so bad underneath part, it's so bad. and tear the whole house down, and that's why you see some houses repaired, repaired, and some houses is new.
And he's right, is there any way that we can, I see a $6,200 one and I see a $4,400 one. Is there, and then I see a $100 additional charge per sheet of plywood to be determined. Now, we're talking about the roofs now, right? Is there any way you can just cap it and say, okay, you bid 6,200, but then cap it with.
Well, we have a motion to the 44 that you can do not to exceed 50% of the total.
Cause he's right though.
Yeah, he's got a point, and they find more trouble once they.
Oh, yeah.
That
We
roof
have
has
no
been in
doubt.
trouble for a very long time. I think they've patched it. It's been patched through the years, trying to, for the different tenants to try to keep them satisfied. And I don't even know if Kenny even knew when he purchased the building how bad that roof actually was.
So
it could be not to exceed 50% of the repair, not to exceed this much or 50% if you
Yeah,
want to
something
cap
like
it.
that. If you wanna cap, we should cap it though. We should give them the means to go up if they have to, but then cap it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So you want to withdraw your motion, or do you want to make an amendment to her motion? Right now, she's got a motion for $4,446 awarded to Edward Senior Construction.
Okay.
50% of that, yeah.
Yeah, so 50% of that.
So, well, I can amend my motion.
You can.
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I move, withdraw the first motion and move that we award the emergency redevelopment grant for 324 Central Avenue and to Edward Senior Construction for the $4,446 with the cap for additional needed materials and labor not to exceed 50% of the bid. Does that do it?
Not sure. I think
Is your motion for the 50% of the whole, not to exceed the whole?
Yeah.
Okay.
50% of the 4446.
Yeah.
And then not to exceed what?
6,000.
No, not to.
I think you're gonna have to, I think what you're saying is, it's gonna be confusing, so I would just put, this is the cap. This is the quote we currently have with the
Yeah.
understanding it could go higher, and we will cap our 50% match at a final price. Is that what you're,
Could be up to 44 or 46.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
as a cap. So it's a 50% grant, but it may come in more, but not to exceed the original bid as our portion of the grant.
So,
Well, shouldn't we?
so you're saying we're not going to allow, if there's additional costs, we will not be paying them. Is that what you want us to say?
So the way that would be, so for instance, if it came in at $10,000, our motion would have been, our intention was to pay 50%, but 50% is 5,000. Our cap is 44.46, the original bid. So we'll only pay 44.46. That's what you wish.
Okay, so in other words, our total payment cannot exceed 4446.
Or whatever number you set.
No.
if you wanted to set 5,000, knowing that
How much should we allow for extra materials? I mean, what amount are we willing to pay for it if it goes higher?
Make it easy to do it 6,000, it would be 3,000 instead of the half.
Well, I see what you're saying. I mean, we're gonna give them 22, 23, and they have
That's
to
the
match it.
request, yeah, no match.
Okay, and basically, I mean, we're all saying the same thing, only, but then we would allow 50% more if needed. In other words, we would cap what we give at 44.46.
Yeah, we cap our 50%.
Right.
That'd be the maximum.
And that would be the max that we would give, and then anything over that, they have to pay.
I'm sorry, Troy, I don't understand.
Pearl, would you, Bobby, would you
Our
help word this?
No, I don't understand it either.
So
I
now
understand.
we're
I
saying
understand
50%
very
match.
clearly.
We're saying a 50% match. So right now we're saying it's 22, 23.
Yeah.
So let's say he gets the bill, they found more trouble, it was $6,000. Our 50% would then be $3,000. because we capped it at the full bid.
Okay, is that a good amount?
So what we would say is we would pay 50% of the amount of repairs up to $5,000 or $6,000.
Whatever you said.
That would be the easiest way of saying it.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, do we want, is it realistic, do we need to allow that much money? I'm looking to you for guidance.
Yes.
I would think 5,000 or 6,000, because it's, like Commissioner Banks said, it could be a lot more trouble than that than they realize.
All right, that's what.
They didn't dig it apart.
So the motion is to award the emergency redevelopment grant for 324 Central Avenue as requested, choosing the bid of Edward Senior Construction at 4446. But our 50% match is not to exceed $6,000. Is that right?
Makes sense.
No, because
Not to
because
exceed.
if our 50% match
Right.
would not exceed $6,000, that could mean possibly that we would be paying $6,000.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. How much are we willing to pay?
So let me see if I can help with this here a little bit. So what we need is we need a motion to say that we approve Edward Senior Construction performing the repairs, and we will willing to pay 50% of the repairs up to $6,000.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. We're willing to
That
allow
work?
extra whatever.
And so that would be
Okay.
$3,000 that we would do.
For a total bill being 6,000.
Yes,
So our maximum would be 3,000.
3,000, right.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Does that work?
Okay, I'll second that.
Do you want to repeat that because I'm.
Okay, so we are awarding the emergency redevelopment grant for 324 Central Avenue as, with choosing Edward Senior Construction as the contractor with their bid of 4446, but our 50, and allowing for additional work, but our 50% match will not exceed the amount of $3,000.
Okay, got it. Okay. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Banks, for bringing up the issue of additional.
Because you've obviously been watching HGTV. That happens every time on HGTV.
Well, it does happen a lot.
Yeah.
And in today's world.
So with that, I'm gonna close out our CRA and I'm going to resume our regular scheduled commission meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is selection of a grants administrator for the community development block grants we were awarded for the water main on Main. As part of that process, Fred Fox Associates wrote the grant for us, and they informed us we needed to hire, so we advertised for grant administrators. They applied for the position, and they look at it's in your packet. You can see they have extensive experience around the state and in Crescent City with administering these block grant programs. So staff recommends approval of Fred Fox and Associates as the grants administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Oops.
You can second, you're the chair.
I'll second.
Chair.
Second.
She's gotta say something when she leaves.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and we got a second.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I like your style.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next item is authorization to issue an RFP 2023-03 for an impact fee study. Last month, a few weeks ago, we had actually a workshop on the possibility of reinstituting our impact fees. But our impact fees have to have a defensible nexus for the reason they are what they are. Blacker recently went through a study, actually lowered their impact fees. So you gave me direction to go ahead and prepare an RFP, and so tonight I'm asking for authorization to issue that. We'll bring back the responses to you at your June commission meeting for selection. And then we'll get that study started, probably complete about September or October.
Now, so this is to do a study to see if we need it?
Well, to give us the fees, so they'll tell us, you can charge this much as a sewer impact fee, and it's defensible, somebody can't challenge us on how much we're charging, that we're overcharging or gouging or whatever.
But Commissioner Banks, if I may, this is an we want to reinstitute impact fees. This is an RFP to find a consultant to do the necessary study.
Yes.
We can't reinstitute the impact fees without
Without
that study.
Without study.
So, and, I would, yeah, and actually, I would move that we, authorize the city manager to issue an RFP for a consultant to perform the, study needed, for a proposal to reinstitute impact fees.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so
Mayor, the next item is the selection of a paving contractor. This is normally a normal departmental operations, but just because of the size of the bid, I want to bring it to you for your selection. We have 3 areas in the city where we've cut open the road to either connect someone to a line or to do work, repair work. So we need to patch those, as well as an instance where the road just sank over on Bay Lane, and we need to we patched it with dirt, and we need to cover it with asphalt. So we received 3 bids, Ancient City Paving, 4,600, CTS Paving, 6,750, and Florida Trucking Paving, 11,600. Staff recommends Ancient City Paving, $4,600.
Okay, Commissioners, do I have a motion? Okay, do I have a second? Did you make a motion,
Yeah, I'll
Commissioner?
start with, yes, I'll make a motion, we accept it as proposed.
Right.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioners, any discussion on this?
Yes, I had asked the city manager whether we had references or prior experience with these people, and the low bid, which is the one the city manager is recommending, he said he's met the owner, we don't have any particular experience with him, but you're confident that he can properly do the work?
Yes, he's a gentleman we met at the dinner for Black-owned businesses.
Yes.
Where are they from?
This, out of St. Augustine. He's local. He has, what's the name of the something house? Charitable organization that's local, and he's interested in doing work. I think that's why he gave us a fair little bid, kind of get on our radar.
Okay.
Does this include the spot over on Lake?
This is Prospect,
There's
this is
4
Palmetto, Bay Lane, and I believe the whole, and,
The whole in the middle of the road?
Lake, yeah.
Yeah, because we need to get them, because I
We put some buildings in
I
there.
ran by that and it's still kind of,
So say those again, please?
So, Prospect,
South Prospect?
yeah, South Prospect, we connected some of the sewer there.
Right.
We had, I think it's Palmetto next to the flower shop, where
Yes.
we had to repair the water connection there, the sewer connection. And then, Bay Lane, where the road sank. And then, I believe the little spot on the
right there on
lake.
Lake.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
okay,
making sure that wasn't gonna get bigger.
got it. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay,
Mayor, the next item is, hiring some help for our finance director, sort of to catch us up. There's tremendous amount of work was left undone by Clarion. And, Dale is here to answer questions you have. He's talking about he can get through this over the months ahead, but a way to get us caught up, our auditing firm has offered to work on functions that are not related to the audit. And in your packet is a list of everything they could cover. We don't need all those services, but they want to make sure we knew what was available and what it would cost us to utilize those services. I think Dale, I forgot what you said, was like 20% of those we've already done, we don't need, so. This will be to help us catch up. And again, this is, my proposal is we deduct this from what we owe. We have about $13,600 outstanding from Clarion. They have, contacted legal counsel, let us know we need to pay the bill. We're gonna respond with the contract, how they failed to perform the contract. One of the things in my city manager report was a request for that direction for our attorneys to respond.
Okay, good, okay, I'll make sure that we discuss that tonight.
They had a scope of service which they didn't meet. And so, that money will go towards, someone else to get the work done that we're paying them to do.
Okay. So,
Okay, I'll make a motion to contract, I'm sorry, who's it, Miller?
James Moore.
James Moore to help our finance department, give assistance to get her done.
How long will that take, you think?
let's do it. Can I get a
Probably
second?
about 6 weeks.
Can I get-
Probably about
let me
6
get- Let me get a
weeks.
second first, and then we can have discussion.
Oh, I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, Commissioner. If you have any questions of Dale, Dale wants to. Does anybody have any questions of Dale?
Well, the same thing, Commissioner Bailey asked, is this, letter, I didn't think to look, does it have a time limit on it?
There's no time limit. If we could, it would be up to that total amount. I've already done about $15,000 worth off of that. So it's not gonna be all of that. But at least we've got it covered if a rock is turned over and we find something that we shouldn't find, which is possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna have him for 6 weeks, you think, and that's it after that?
That would be the goal.
That's the goal. They're gonna do their audit, and this will bring them in a little bit quicker. We already have if we didn't do anything, it would take me probably until November, December to get it unraveled and ready to go for an audit.
There, I have one question.
Yeah.
Will accomplishing these tasks, will that, help us in preparation of our budget for the next fiscal year?
It depends on the timing of when you prepare the budget, but yes.
I mean, in other words, if we get these done, are we in better shape to prepare the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
You're in better shape to have more consistent financial statements on a monthly basis, as you should have.
Okay.
Dale, and once we get through this, do you feel like then we will be sound in our?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This will make us whole. We'll be whole again, correct?
Yes.
You'll be able to take care of all this after that?
Yes.
I believe.
Yes, I work closely with James Moore, and we do talk the same talk, so.
Okay. Okay, so we currently have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Karen, I'm gonna ask you to do a roll call on this one.
Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey?
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito?
Aye.
Mayor Mars?
Aye. Thanks, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Mayor, the next item is to, schedule workshops over the next few months. We really need a monthly workshop on the land development code so we can bring it to you in little pieces rather than a giant workshop that would take us a full day or more at the end. So my recommendation would be maybe early each month, July, June, July, August. We need a better place, our better place funds. We need a workshop to talk about about $500,000 in that fund and how we're going to spend those funds, as well as the remaining $250,000 in ARPA funds, which are undesignated. And then CRA budget workshop, and then the usual, the general fund, the enterprise funds, and so forth, in late June, early July. And then there's also a list, Commissioner DeVito had requested some time ago. We scheduled some of those, there's still 3 left to fit into the schedule.
Everybody, you have some calendars at the back of this agenda item. If you want to grab your calendars and let's start. Charles, do you have any dates in mind for any of these?
Well, one thing that we had done the last land development code workshop on the first Thursday of the month. Because it needs to be after the third Thursday when the planning and zoning board will review the item and they'll forward it to you for your workshop.
Okay,
So June 1st would be that first Thursday.
okay, June 1st, now does that work for, commission?
This is a land development codes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have article, chapters 1 and 3 coming to you next. That can be in the afternoon if you want.
June 1st then.
June 1st.
Because
So
That's a
could we
suggestion,
stack,
yeah.
could we stack, and can we can stack some of these too, can't we? How long do you think that land development meeting would have? That workshop?
It's hard to say, yeah, well, the last one, P&Z was very fast.
Okay.
Well, before that, not so much.
Can we move up CRA budget workshop instead of the land development? That seems to be more that thing.
Well, that's part of the budget, that's part of our budget process. We're gonna have budget meetings on all of these, so it would be like general fund budget, enterprise funds, we can have a workshop on all of our different, funds. So do you want to do that Thursday? Would you like to do it at, say, 2 o'clock?
That works for me.
Does that work for the commission, June 1st?
Nothing ever works for me, so whatever you guys decide.
Commissioner DeVita?
2 o'clock Thursday, first, that works fine.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll be good.
okay.
On June 1st.
Yeah, that would be the land development, that would be, okay. And then we've got the,
Is the first Thursday of each month doable for the next 2 months after that?
Well,
We'll have 2 more chapters for you, and then 2 more chapters for you. That'll be July 6th. and
So far it is.
August 3rd.
yeah. Yeah, it is for me.
It's gonna
2
be,
o'clock.
it's gonna be at 2 o'clock?
Can be.
Okay, now you say every third?
Every first
That'll be
Thursday.
first Thursday.
Every first, oh, okay.
That's for the land development. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got that on, so we've got that taken care of. Your better place plan and remaining ARPA funds, May and June, so do you want to do that also at that June 1st, immediately following the 2 o'clock?
Y'all gonna feed us?
Okay. Bring a peanut butter, bring a peanut butter salad.
You're talking about doing the better place?
Yeah.
ARPA?
Are you good, is everyone good with that?
on June
June
1st.
1st, on June 1st. So we got a 2 o'clock, so immediately following, we could do it. Okay. Charles, are we good with that?
What time?
Immediately following the land development. So
On
I
June
guess we
1st?
would, yes.
Do you have a proposal for all these things?
Or will you have it?
The land development code is the 2 chapters, zoning and,
No, the budget, the ARPA and the Better Place Plan, because that's a lot of money and it's coming up fast and that just seems a little quick. Cause you're gonna be away the last week of May, right?
Yeah. Is there another date that you'd like to do this, Charles, where you feel you'd be better prepared for that? We can do it on,
well, somebody had said 4th Thursday, no good.
Right, well, I mean, I was just thinking,
Yeah, I mean, I've got a standing thing for them.
There's a 5th Thursday in June.
there is a 5th Thursday, and I do have that open right now.
right, but that is right before July 4th weekend, I don't know. That would be Thursday, the 29th, right?
Yeah,
Right.
could be in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's not good.
And I don't know.
What about the 15th?
Planning and zoning.
Planning and zoning.
Right, well, can we do,
We don't have to keep it on a Thursday, we could do it, we can even do it on a Monday, so what about, do you think Monday the 12th or Monday the 19th? What about the 12th?
the the 12th is not good for me. I could do the 19th. I could do Wednesday the 14th.
I cannot do Wednesday the 14th.
Anyone else do the 19th?
I do the 19th.
19th?
I can do the 19th.
What time do you want to do that?
2 o'clock.
I can't do that.
You can't do the 19th? So let's look at, I can do Tuesday the 13th. Does anybody have anything on Tuesday the 13th?
June.
Do that.
Yes, sir.
What time?
2 o'clock?
Is that the second Tuesday?
Yes.
So you have to come on
I just have to come on at 6.
Okay, let's hope we're done by then.
This is a better place in our,
Yeah. Will you be ready by then? Are you available then on the 13th?
Potentially, no. But I don't know. That doesn't look too good.
Well, we're gonna have to, guys, we're gonna have to pick some, I mean, we got 5 schedules going here, so we're gonna have to.
Well, my question is, can we do our Bet and Better Place on Thursday, July 6th? Is that possible?
We
have to have building
development for the 2 o'clock on July 6th.
Right, then, so we're not gonna double these up.
Well, we can you do that on
Do it.
July
we
6th?
do it at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, you can do it at 4.
Yeah, me too.
Because actually, I mean, given that it's a lot of money and there's public impact, don't we want to make it more accessible for the public to come?
Sure.
We can, so 4 o'clock should be, and chances are, or immediately following the workshop, the other workshop.
Yeah, July 6th.
Okay, so everybody good with July 6th at 4 o'clock or immediately following the land development,
I'm good.
but not sooner than 4 o'clock?
Okay, now we're back in June again for the CRA budget workshop.
Now we're back in June again for the CRA, yeah.
You didn't work at all, right?
Well, we don't have too much to decide for this year. Our and Better Place, sorry.
So CRA budget workshop. I'm available.
We couldn't do that workshop on the 6th.
Well, we're doing, well,
Oh, wait a minute, what am I looking at?
Of July.
for June.
I don't mean, I'm sorry, my mistake.
Okay, for June, doesn't the city manager already have pretty much a CRA budget? Should we do the CRA workshop on Thursday, June 1st?
That's what I was saying.
Because there's pretty much a budget that you gave us today.
Yeah, that one's
I mean, do you see the numbers changing?
not much, no.
I
Okay,
think we got a lot that might be, do you feel like you can,
We're just gonna do land development code and then CRA budget.
okay,
which is already in our packet.
So that's 2, got 1 and 2 and the other at 4
yes,
Yes.
immediately following
on June 1.
on June 1, okay. The general fund budget workshop, that's gonna be in July, we need that one. We probably wanna do that one at a 5 o'clock.
There's a lot of each department will come in and talk to you about their, or some.
Or you wanna do it at 2 o'clock, start it at 2?
Which day are we talking about?
I'm not sure which day. I like 2 o'clock, and whatever day we pick.
Okay,
Right, so our vacation is the week of the 16th. So we are gone that week.
okay, we've got, July 11th, we can do it on July 11th. How does July 11th work for everybody?
I can do that.
Commissioner Burton, how's
Yeah.
July 11th?
That's fine.
Commissioner Banks, July 11th?
I'm good at that one.
Sun comes up.
Investors on.
That's 2 o'clock?
Yeah, I like 2 o'clock too. Okay, July 11th at 2 o'clock.
Okay, now we've got our enterprise funds workshop also in July. Do we want to do that, don't want to push it too far out. We can do it either Monday, July 24th. Commissioner DeVito, will you be back by then?
I hope so.
No, we might be gone.
You might be gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at, if we do it on like Wednesday, the 12th,
And we got a regular meeting now
on
on
the
the
next
15th.
day, but on the 12th, as long as we meet at 2 o'clock, that would give you enough time on it, Commissioner Banks, because it's a Wednesday night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we give them enough time.
Done on July 12th for
Yeah.
the enterprise funds?
2 o'clock.
Cindy,
That's a no. That's a no?
that's no.
Yeah, it's a no.
So you won't be here for that. Okay,
It's a movie.
But, so when do we have to have our budget done?
First reading is August 10th.
Okay.
We're talking about the enterprise
Oh, no, we
funds?
do that, we do 2 readings in September, so
yeah,
I'm sorry.
we'll do 2
I
meetings in
misspoke.
September, so we could take it into August.
Yeah,
We do too, okay, and it's enterprise funds,
We
right?
just want to do it earlier in August than later, so do we want to do August, August 1st? Is
Well,
everybody here?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we could, combine it on the same day with the land development code. It's my recollection that the enterprise funds budget don't take long.
We could do that.
there's gonna be a discussion of our gas rates,
Okay,
not increasing our rate.
Okay.
So,
I still say let's go ahead for Thursday the 3rd, since we're all here.
4 o'clock, enterprise.
Yeah.
Immediately following.
Yeah,
Third time, wait a minute.
that's on August 3rd. You don't have anything for August 3rd. You got, okay, 2 o'clock land development.
Thursday.
Yes, sir. And then you've got 4 o'clock enterprise. Okay, and then we've got some, I guess, some workshops that Commissioner DeVito would like.
But, well, to me, the first priority one would be a discussion of goals and objectives for the year. That's something I think we should talk about before we have the hearing on the budget. And I don't know if anyone else has been able to take advantage of the League of Cities. You're okay?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. The League of Cities is a 7-hour course, and they highly recommend, in it, that before you do your budgeting, you have goals and objectives. So that would be my #1 priority.
So that would we need to have that before the 11th of July. Give them some time to formulate, goals into the budget, so late June. It's been difficult to get June.
June is tough, because you don't want us to, do the 15th. Did we look at Thursday, the 22nd in June by any strange chance?
I think Commissioner Bailey has a conflict for Thursdays.
Oh, that's the 4th Thursday. Okay, and then what about Wednesday, the 21st? If we do it early?
The 15th, that's planning and zoning,
Yes.
that's at 6 o'clock, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how long do we think this would take? I mean, is this something that we could do, prior to that, at 2 o'clock? Commissioner DeVito? On the 15th?
June.
Yeah.
It'll give us 4 hours.
I think let's put it then. Are you available then, Commissioner DeVito?
That is not a good week for me. To me, if anybody else is available the week of the 19th, that would be be something I could work with better.
21st
Yes,
at 2?
if anybody else is available.
Which one is it, 22nd?
June 21st?
What time?
2 o'clock? You have an evening commitment, correct?
Yeah. But till 2 o'clock, we good, we ain't gonna be here all night. Oh, God.
Okay, 2 o'clock on the 21st. Goals and objectives.
And then we have the, League of Cities conference issue.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Is our August meeting?
We do need the August meeting every year conflicts with League of Cities, and several of you not like to go, so we can move
I'm not
that.
I'm not going, I'm done with my.
We've moved it to
with my
Tuesdays.
training, my training for the year I'm done with, so you're going, when is it? It's gonna be on the 10th. It always is that week, that second.
Right, well, and the thing about this year is it's much easier and cost effective for us because it's in Orlando.
We usually do the Tuesday before, right? I think that's last year, it was 2 days earlier than normal.
Yeah.
So it's the 8th work for that commission, that's a regular commission meeting.
Bobby, how does that work for you with promotion?
You can, it's gonna be,
That's gonna be a problem for Bobby and that.
What about George?
He's will be in Airlock.
And we're on the same Tuesday. What about, do we just move it to August? We could move it to August the 5th.
August the what?
15th, you're not here August the 15th though, are you?
I don't know, we got a few things that we have to kind of work out, so.
could be.
I mean, if you
Tuesday
wanna
the
put it
1st.
down, go ahead and put it down, if I can't make it, I'll let you know.
And Tuesday the 1st is early, that puts it within 3 weeks of the prior meeting.
And that has to work out, right?
And of course, Wednesday the 9th, I conflict. I hate to do a meeting on Monday, but
Could you have the 7th?
I can do the 7th.
Okay, let's do the 7th.
Monday night, the 7th, for the regular meeting?
Get that commissioner in August,
In August, what day?
Monday the 7th.
So Commissioner Banks, are you coming to Orlando?
Yes,
That's great.
yeah, that close, I ain't going.
Yeah.
That's out of which, no.
And folks, we should remember this, last year, we didn't designate a voting delegate. There's some things that you vote on, and we're supposed to,
Now, that meeting on 7, what time, 2?
6.
That's right.
Yeah, regular.
That's a regular commission meeting. We're moving it from there to there.
Oh, yeah, right on the time, okay, good, okay, 6.
Okay. Okay.
Is that it?
No, she's got 2, discussion of the historic preservation ordinance and discussion of the middle school plans by school board.
well, my thought is, I think planning and zoning and historic preservation hopefully are going to talk about the historic preservation ordinance first. And then, maybe we could hold off on a discussion of middle school because we need an update.
I think they're still not ready to give us an update yet. I don't know, maybe they are. Okay, so we'll hold off on both of those. Okay, everybody good with those calendars?
And by the way, that was very helpful to have these.
Yes, thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Joe.
I put I give everyone a copy of the financial report, by fund, pretty, like a 30-page stack we got put together. We do have, as again, we have the other tonight, we added to the agenda the financial director report.
I have a question. We just have these reports. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Do we have any idea of whether we're over budget in any department?
Yes, those, I think they're income statements that you gave them, and you should be able to see that on a line-by-line basis.
Okay, well, so I was just wondering if you knew off the top of your head if you had a.
I know that several of the funds are in the black, and there are a couple that are slightly in the red.
Okay.
But this is as of April 30th, and we got 5 months to go before we get another audit. So
okay,
that just gives you some glimpse of numbers.
You notice some of the lines, for instance, gas, oil, and tires might be over. And what I discovered was the practice in the past was not to let them go over. They would buy the stuff and just charge it to another line. So you didn't have an accurate sort of record of what you really need for gas, oil, and tires, as an example. So I told the staff, let's get what we need, let's see where those funds end up, and when we do the next budget, we'll be informed that we need to put more money in this example of gas, oil, and tires. It hid the fact of what we were really spending, I think, on those lines by doing that. So you'll see some of them have gone red, but the purpose is to figure out what we're really spending money on, what we need it for.
The older the equipment, the greater the maintenance cost.
right, well, or this is a case of now we have true budgeting, right? As opposed to.
Yeah, it was
borrow.
so.
Right, so, I have a question that, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about preparing the budget for next year. And this is really a question for Charles and Dale. It's my understanding that 22, 23, 24, we're preparing the 23-24 budget, correct?
Correct.
Next April will be 24.
Correct.
So, is that not the date that the contract with the sheriff, the first contract ends?
That was a 3-year contract.
It ends 2024.
Right.
April of 2024 is when it ends.
Right.
So not the budget we're preparing, but the following budget.
Well, it'll be April, our budget goes
It'll
till,
be 1/4 of,
right,
1/4 of their payment. Actually, it'll be 2, because we pay.
That's right, it's not on the fiscal year, is it? It's like a CRA's contract where it was partial.
Yeah.
No, so we will have to renew that contract as far as April, so however many months that leaves. So I guess my question is, there's a number of our contracts that we've let go, like with the county. That was the process. But do we need to, before we prepare the budget, start the discussion of the renewal of the contract? Because if there is a price increase, that's going to
Factor it in, yes.
right, increase that line item. And, well, I mean, we have to prepare for that, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Because that's a significant amount of budget. Okay.
I think that's a discussion that possibly, I guess, if you want to reach out to the colonel and start, so that maybe we need to have that discussion in early August.
May take a while to negotiate.
Something I do want to bring up while Dale's up here is, we're looking at the possibility of switching over our general pension, our employee pension, to the Florida retirement system. It'd be much more advantageous, for our employees. Our current, program is we contribute 5% and the employee can contribute nothing. So that Dale knows more about that. He can, kind of describe the benefits of the Florida retirement system and what it would mean for our employees.
The employees, have a greater opportunity to contribute their own money if they would like. It also allows them 8% of the city would contribute 8%. Right now, you're contributing 5%. So their benefit would be a little bit greater. And there's a lot more opportunities with a bigger system and more flexibility. It's more mobile. Because right now, if you leave Crescent City, you don't have a path to go to another city, if you go to another city. So it's a little more difficult with what you're in right now, and a little less desirable.
Yeah, it will help us probably to compete more also.
It helps you compete with other cities and other employees as you bring them in. It gives you something of value to have them come in.
So they could bring, if they went for another city to here would also work?
Yes, if you're with Florida retirement system and you go to another city, you're with Florida retirement, you just transfer your pot of money.
Well, and also the years of vesting, I mean, say if you get 3 years here and then you move to another location, you can just keep earning your vesting years, right?
Right.
Then you, once you vest, you earn your accrual years.
Right,
So
and you got
it's-
the drop program when you retire. Right now you don't, so there's a lot of different opportunities with Florida retirement, and it's a much bigger system. So their interest income is much bigger than what your interest income is.
So we'll have to bring that back to you, but I wanted to kind of get a general sense if you guys are in agreement with that direction.
I'm FRS, so, you know, and when I get to be at that point, so yeah, I'm definitely in favor of FRS. I think that, I know the sheriff's department is under the FRS, and a lot of our, I think all of our county is under FRS, I believe.
Would not impact our police fire. There is a way to bring them in, but it would be a process. We wouldn't do anything that would harm anyone's life over time.
Well, it just seems like if it's potentially a good option, then it's something we should look at, you know, provided you have the time with everything that's going on.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, and I've talked to Charles about, is looking at ways to streamline and make things more efficient. And one of them was trying to do our payroll differently and trying to do it with different software to enhance the ability for our employees to work in other areas, in other ways. So that's a decision that Charles is gonna make and you're gonna make, I guess.
Yeah, there's going to be a contract with a payroll firm, a small monthly fee, to handle that. Really, professionally outside. That's something that we want to roll into the budget conversation for next year.
One thing I want to ask those,
Commissioner Burton, when you get a microphone.
when we get in our
Commissioner
raise,
Burton.
When you get the raise, we'll
when we get in our raise.
work on that in the budget.
Okay.
After the next election. You can't give yourself away.
Okay.
I know.
Want to make sure people understand the joke.
One final comment from me. Thank you. It's been here a month now. It's been enjoyable. Challenge beyond belief, but I think we're moving in the right direction and we're starting to rise from the ashes.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Mayor, one question for Dale. If this, just a short question, because we're coming up on our time. I had asked, there's the problems with Clarion, where we've withheld the funds. There was work that wasn't done. And I asked the question, is there an accrediting organization that we could complain to? You said there is an accrediting organization.
Yes.
Is that something we should consider doing, or does what happened not rise to that level?
Well, you can consider that if you'd like. It's the Bureau of Licensing, and because the president's a CPA, and that's who offers his license.
Okay.
Okay. I guess we'll.
That's the discussion.
That would be a question for the attorney. That's gonna go down that path.
Commissioner Britton.
I just have one more question here. I've been hearing about a $2 charge that we charge, I don't know which customers. I've heard they've been our commercial customers,
Yes.
but I also think I've heard that there's some residential customers. And I think we've been charging that since, what was it, 2015 and 2010? Have you heard anything at all about this?
I've heard about it, don't know much about it, other than, it somehow occurred when Edmonds took over.
Let's
Josh,
actually stop.
No, it stopped,
Well, I know
it stopped when Edmonds.
Stopped with
Well, I
Edmonds, so.
understand that it stopped, but I understand Jocelyn is working to
She's researching it.
pay that money back. And I was just wondering how far we've gotten with that
Yeah,
whole
they're-
thing. I mean, it's talked about all the time. It's my fault that it happened, okay, so that's why I know about it. And, so I'm just asking, what progress we've made in closing that issue, that's all. So,
last I heard that we're working on it, and
okay.
how far along we are,
She said it was only
it's on the radar.
one every month, and it was, I think, $2. or something like that.
But, what the impact would be, I mean,
When we have it all collected, we're gonna bring it to you in a report,
Yeah.
and then we'll either refund or credit those accounts.
My understanding for her, it was an INS and it was a glitch in the system. It wasn't Commissioner Burton's fault. It was a glitch in the system with INS and it dates back, I thought it dated back to even before 2014. I don't know why I was thinking 2011, but maybe 2014 or 2015, so.
I don't know what it is.
But Jocelyn's working on that.
Yes, she is. She'll report as soon as she's done.
So let's, if we can, and piggybacking off of Commissioner DeVito's discussion about the finance firm and them telling us that they're going to hire their attorneys, correct?
We'll get a letter from the attorney saying we need to pay
We need
the
to pay the fine.
outstanding funds. So
Okay,
we're
and
gonna
so
respond.
Bobby, how is what do we need to, do you need any directive from us?
That's I think that it's best if we get direction from our firm to first assess our legal ability to object to paying for it, and then possibly our avenues to sue them for failure to uphold their end of the contract. Honestly, there's probably gonna have to be a special meeting called, because we have 15 days to respond, and we may need more. If we get into it where we're negotiating, we don't have to make those decisions, we can't, so there may be some emergency meetings in the future, but that's where we're at now. I can't comment on the likelihood of the merits of our case until Charles is gonna give me the contract and everything that they failed to do and that type of stuff, and then we'll draft a response back to the firm that they hired.
I'm surprised given the shape that they left us in. But, oh wow. Okay. So we're looking at possibly in the next 15, 20 days, we'd have to have an emergency meeting or
We
special.
could, yes.
Okay.
If something comes up where we need direction as to how.
Okay, so is everyone done? Any more questions for Dale?
None here.
Okay, Dale, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Drive safely.
He doesn't have to go though.
Mayor, I just wanted to highlight the stormwater issue on Lake Avenue. This is, a stormwater pipe that appears to be leaking at the joints, and so it's eroding the earth all around it, quite extensively. And, we're still trying to get more bids. We got one bid that I think was in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. We want to get some more bids so we know that that's competitive. We'll then probably be grouting that, pipe from the inside, similar to what we did over, the Lennon and the sewer pipe. But we have to do something, or it's just gonna keep getting, or just washing away the two properties on either side. Kind of goes right down the property line. There's an easement there, it's washing everything away. So once we have a bid, bring it back to you, and, we'll probably, the only thing I can think of is a better place to take that chunk of, that amount of money. We don't have a stormwater fund, we can't take it out of sewer or water.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions of Charles? Charles, you have anything else?
That was it.
I do want to say that the Cinco de Mayo that went off with, it was an outstanding event.
Yeah, very exciting.
It really was, and, without incident. And so, and the community really seemed to enjoy it, and at 9 o'clock when we said it's over, everyone left, and we never even had to ask anybody to take part, so it was a good night, so thank you. Anything else, anybody else have a question of Charles at this time?
Just a quick question, status of the historic preservation grant?
I'm still working my way through that application.
Okay, that's fine, enough said.
I didn't realize it was gonna be the chore that it is.
Okay.
I'm just wondering about the status of moonshine.
Moonshine, I think I mentioned that they resubmitted, and our associates have reviewed the plans, and we sent those comments back to them. Didn't appear to be anything significant, other than they left off the gas service off the plan, so they're gonna have to add that.
Okay.
Our planner is reviewing it. He had a situation last week, his wife had a little uncomfortable in her chest and ended up with open heart surgery, and he's in the ICU, so he's been with her for over a week.
March life?
March life, yeah.
No, I'm not sure, I won't say that.
So he's he's trying to break away and get the plans reviewed and get them over to us. We'll get them to Moonshine Acres so we can keep that moving forward.
Okay. So we're gonna have a date next to when that's gonna happen, right? I mean, I guess he's the only guy that works for this firm, is that how that works? Just only guy?
Well, yeah, he's our assigned to us, our boss. So we'll send him our comments, he'll address them, show us he's addressed them, they'll resubmit. The gas plans included, and then if we're happy with that, then we'll bring the plans on.
Okay. So now, what about the Market Square, is that for sale still?
We have an RFP still out. In fact, I spoke to a gentleman today about that RFP, saw it on the website, and has a client, thinks, would be interested, so he's getting some more information.
Okay.
We'll see if something comes of it. It really has changed the potential of the site next door to the school, possibly being more acreage that's there, so that may increase interest.
I don't understand why there's gonna be more acreage.
If the school sells the property, if it's available for sale,
Okay.
then that's a bigger
charge
for development.
Okay. All right, that's what I don't understand, because I keep hearing that they trying to sell it, that they would go ahead and just cut it, demolish it, and leave the little buildings up and keep the, auditorium.
I can't hear Commissioner Burke.
I'm sorry, I keep hearing that the schools, the smaller buildings are gonna stay, and the auditorium is gonna stay, and the gym is gonna stay. And so I'm just surprised to hear that it's still up for sale.
Well, they're still doing their due diligence on vacant pieces of property, so that leads me to believe they're still haven't made that decision.
All right, so thank you.
Commissioner DeVito, did you finish? I didn't know if you finished with your asking Charles.
Well, actually, I was gonna ask him, couldn't find my notes about the status of the middle school, so you just gave part of it, they're still looking for a site. And you transmitted the resolution,
Yes,
but that went to Mr. Bowling, not to the superintendent or any of the commissioners.
correct. I sent it to Mr. Bowling. He's my point of contact with them. He disseminates the information.
And have we had any response whatsoever, and do we know whether he actually disseminated the information?
I don't know, and I have not received a response.
Okay. Can we find that out?
Yes.
Okay. Then, Mayor, there was an item that was taken off the special meeting agenda today. Are we going to get an explanation of why, or is that just gonna wait till a later time?
Bobby?
I mean, I didn't know if we were supposed to find that out today, or if it's later, that's fine. I don't care.
I believe there's some additional information.
I don't, not right now.
Okay,
I don't think it's.
that's fine. And that's all I have for the city manager. But I do have a question for the city attorney. Is it time for that? Okay, Well, I just don't wanna cut off anybody else. So today for public comment, we had someone who basically made a political campaign speech. I feel like we need some clarification on, the nature of general public comment. I had sent you an email about that and you sent me a case. It's my understanding that Florida statute only requires that we allow public comment on items that are up for a vote. And I may be wrong about that, but that's what I see when I read the statute. And then, I can't remember ever being to a city or county meeting where the speaker was not addressing some item of public business or the community. I've never been to a meeting where someone came to the podium at a public meeting and made a campaign ad. Now, Mr. Hammond said that he had the constitutional right to do so. Is that accurate?
That's way too long of an explanation to give right now.
Can we get one?
Yes.
Because my concern is this, there's a time and place for everything. It was my understanding that city meetings are supposed to be about city business. And if people can come here and just talk about anything and be on camera for 3 minutes, I'm not saying they don't have a valid message for the public. But we have our work to do, and we have people who come here to make, to understand what's going on in the city and to bring up their own issues. So we don't really have time to waste. And with all due respect to the people who want a forum, I think we need to know what the guidelines really are. Because if,
Thank you, I'd like to know too.
Okay, and that's something that in talking to George too today, that I have asked him to make sure that they better define it for us and to make sure that our rules that we have set forth that can be enforced. And we need something very solid because it seems like it changes constantly and I'm being instructed differently. And,
well, I understand that, but you had made a comment at one point that the quote, the public is lucky they get to speak. And when I don't really agree with that. I mean, I think we're here to hear public concerns about city business.
taking that out of context.
Well, I'm just saying.
I know, but you do that to me all the time, and you take it out of context.
I don't mean to. I thought it was.
Well, you did. So-
Okay, no, what I'm saying is.
Go ahead.
It actually, it's colorful. I frequently speak in a colorful manner. I mean, you didn't mean any disrespect, but I thought it actually summed up what the statute seems to say. That it seems to be an option.
I surely like to get an answer to that myself because it's very disrespectful to get up. I have seen a couple other acts to take place that I don't think that was legally and should have took place in the campaigning for in the beginning, starting off. I thought that was very disrespectful. And another thing I think is very disrespectful for a sitting commissioner to get out there and campaign for his person that is on the commission. I think that's very disrespectful, ladies and gentlemen. That's just my feeling, and I hope I ain't hurting nobody else feeling. If I do, God bless them. But I don't think that's right. I should have enough respect for anybody sitting up here for me to get out there and cut them down out there to somebody else, to try to get somebody else in their seat. No. It just ain't right. And it ought to be a law, because I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. But it ought to be something about that. And that was very disgraceful to the people sitting in here tonight we had to sit up here and go through these long meetings on a kind of rhetoric like that. And it shouldn't be.
And that was my understanding as well, Bobby, so when you go back and you give us your opinion, is that that's why I said to him, my understanding is you cannot, we're not supposed to be campaigning in a government building. And that was definitely that, and so, in that regard, I tried to shut that down, and, I just gotta know, we have to know what our parameters are. I'm not, but we've got to know what our parameters are, because that was, I agree, it was uncalled for, it was disrespectful, and it was, it is what it is. With that, I will say this, that on the 21st, Kim Hardy has orchestrated a evening of prayer at 6 o'clock, at Eveline Park with, as many churches as willing to join. She's been reaching out to them, and just asking all of, I know she's reached out to you as well, and just asked all of our churches, our pastors, our preachers to come together and just to pray and lift up the city, so that we can stop some of this, hopefully. But with that, and, Commissioner Burton, I personally I apologize, I've apologized, that we have to, go through this,
Those
for
three are
everybody.
not even residents.
Huh?
Those three individuals are not even residents of the city.
Yeah, and that doesn't, everybody, but, I mean, I would like it to be that right here, that if you do have a concern, if there is a pothole that you're having to drive over, that, this is a place that you can bring that to us, that city business. And we've listened to that, and we've entertained that, and that's kind of Commissioner DeVito, where you said, I think we've been very open about that, and that's what, taking pride in that this commission has been open to listening to the concerns of the citizens, when in fact, oftentimes, some people don't even allow it unless it's on the agenda. And so, so anyway, with that, Commissioner Burton.
I just want to thank Commissioner Vito, Commissioner Banks, and you, for at least attempting to get some kind of reasonable answer to the attacks that they seem to want to bring at every meeting now. So, I just don't think this is the place. That's all I have to say, but thank you.
Commissioner, do we have any, further business, because we're getting close to.
Right, just, I'll write this to Bobby in an email, but there was another statement by a speaker that somehow the commission, we don't need an answer to this, but somehow the commission is liable for the behavior of commissioners outside of meetings or city business. I'll write you an email about that, Bobby, because I think we need some clarification on that as well. So that's all I have for Bobby.
Okay, with that, do we have any further discussion, anything anybody else wants to bring up? Okay, can I get a motion for, to adjourn? Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned at 9:45.
Get my box, I got that. I don't want to get him out here.